What is up, Friday Nighters? Welcome back to another episode of Just Another Friday Night. It is, in fact, just another Friday night. I am one of your two hosts, CM Chuck. You can just call me CM for tonight. And across from me, the man of the hour, the tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Damn.
Double A, Adamantium Adam.
What's up, everyone? Cheers.
Cheers! It's Friday, guys, and we need a drink.
It's Friday. It was a long, hot week.
Long, hot week. Yes, Double A, indeed. I agree with you 100%, sir. Facebook user says, cheers, guys. I believe that is Steve in the house.
What's
Steve,
up, Steve?
Before we get going here, man, I want to take a moment and send our sincere condolences to you. We know that your family had a recent loss, big
sorry,
one.
Steve.
I won't go into details as this is not the time or the place, but we do want to let you know that our heart, thoughts, and prayers are with you and your family at this time, brother. Thank you so much for supporting us and always being here. We know you're going to pull through. Here's to her. Wani in the house. Juan says, what's up, gentlemen? Cheers.
Juan.
Steve says, thank you, guys. Of course, Steve. Always appreciative of your support of us, and we feel the same about you. Some other things I want to mention real quick at the top here. Not to keep it any kind of way, but our good friend over at the Now Watch This podcast, the Dork Dad himself, Lucky, is also kind of experiencing the trials and tribulations of life. So we want to wish him a speedy recovery. Luck, get better. We know that you will. We know that you're a fighter. You're strong, and you're going to pull through. You're the Batman of the Batman and Robin of you and Joe. So we definitely want you to maybe. I don't know.
Damn.
We definitely want you to show us that resilience, brother. We know you're gonna be just fine, man. Don't worry about it. We're here for you. We're supporting you. Love you, brother. Get better. Antonio Caruso in the house says, get better, Lucky, praying for you. We appreciate you being here, Anthony. Man, I am not completely done yet with the recent Patreon episode on all things Multiverse of Madness, but it was a lot of heartbreak in that one, Double A, let me tell you. Anthony and everyone's favorite elf, Julia, had a lot of strong opinions about a movie we really enjoyed.
I remember, yeah.
So it was tough. Jerry D was supposed to be on, and I was crying out for him. Jerry! Always love watching you guys. Appreciate that, Anthony. On that note, man, we're going to get into this real quick, and I want to make sure that I give all the credit that's due to the favorite elf over at Tis the Podcast, Julia, who had a great update on something that a lot of fans are talking about right now. Double A, did you catch the She-Hulk trailer?
No, I didn't see it, and I posted it, but I didn't see it. But then I read all of y'all's reviews, and I was like, I just kept seeing CGI sucks. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it a little bit. And I never got around to it.
We did feel kind of like the CGI wasn't that tight in Moon Knight, and then it wasn't that tight in Multiverse of Madness. So I was like, man, this is kind of a big deal. Well, Anthony brought up a very great point that got brought up at the end of their recent Patreon episode where him and Julia discussed Multiverse of Madness. Again, guys, Tis the Podcast. Go check it out. I get the Patreon episodes for just $1, and it's fantastic. But the regular episodes are totally free. So go check them out, too. One of our favorite Christmas podcasts for sure. But Julia said that Disney has a new CEO or a president, something like that. The guy in charge, anyway, at Disney. And he's all about putting money towards theme parks and not their properties.
Okay, not the one that's going to make you money.
Yeah, not your franchises that have pretty much built you to the empire that you are.
The billions and billions of dollars.
Double A, I do not want to see shitty CGI in Obi-Wan. I will be fucking devastated if I see that.
You know, that's what I always hate, and that's classic management that just comes in. It's always like, where can I save money? Where can we do this? Where can we do that? I mean, that's where you're going to lose people.
Exactly.
No one cares about Mickey anymore.
Sorry. We're all hardcore fans, man,
Marvel
of
and
this
Star
stuff.
Wars.
Yeah. And yes, Double A, the CGI is kind of choppy in that She-Hulk trailer.
You spend $200 million on Doctor Strange, you're going to get $900 million. Oh, come on. You know,
as a divisive film, look what it's doing right now. It's crushing it.
It's last time I checked, it was like $600 million.
I mean, yeah.
And it's going to go up even higher. I mean,
it's crushing it with shit CGI. I would imagine what it would be doing with great CGI. I mean, yeah. So again, thank you so much, Julia. It's just the podcast.
shit in your product, you're gonna get an end result.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware that this new head of Disney is the one that's moving money to theme parks and all that. Which, yes, I get it. Bring the people in, and it's
the rich people.
Yeah,
because I can't fucking afford to go.
I want to go to Galaxy's Edge.
To go.
Yeah, I want Galaxy's Edge to come to me.
I have a friend at work that said he had to save $10,000 just to go, just to have a fun time.
10,000.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Friend of the podcast, Kara in the house. Kara says, "Come on, Disney, get it together." And Anthony obviously says, "Don't forget to mention Julia," which I did, Anthony. So I hope you let her know. But Kara, you went to Disney recently. Kara, what was your experience like, and was it overpriced for what you got? Because $10,000, I mean, like $10,000. That's a big
family of like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's a big windfall for a lot of us. That could improve
our
day-to-day lives, pay your house down faster.
Yeah, I can't fucking do that. It has to be like 5 years of planning.
Yeah,
on saving.
I'd have to take out equity, a loan against the equity in my home now to afford a trip like that. And even then, I mean, it's like, my boss told me she just canceled her trip to Disney because her and her husband realized it wasn't financially feasible.
It's not.
They'd rather go to like Louisiana or Washington D.C. and spend time there, and enjoy your money.
And I'd rather watch this Marvel and Star Wars shit.
Yes, yes, with good CGI. Come on, it's not that hard. They've been doing it. Anthony says exactly, putting the money in the theme parks. And raising prices at the parks.
Yeah.
Raising prices for me to go wait in lines in record heat?
Mm-hmm.
Heat that has never been recorded on the planet before? I'm good. No thanks. Kara right there says 100% overpriced. Anthony says he's insane. Agree. She says the food was terrible. That sucks to know. Hey guys, Rox is in the house. What's up, Foxy Roxy? Joe says Chuck's favorite player is LeBron. Wow. 100% not true, as I am dressed here. And Joe, just for you, we do have this in play. So, Joe, that is there, in case you're wondering.
A Facebook user says all about the lettuce, guys.
All about the lettuce, guys. Who mentioned the lettuce? Let us know who you are. You're correct.
Thanks, Roxanne, for last Friday. It was a lot of fun. Thank you if you're still on. It was really fun. The atmosphere was great. And it was exactly what my wife needed. So thank you very much.
And that's very, very high praise and compliments. Here's to you, Foxy Roxy, and John for putting on a wonderful Friday the 13th party.
It was great. I enjoyed it.
I had a blast. I got to catch up with one of my very great old friends. You got to see him right as he got there.
Yes, we talked for a while.
Mr. Mark Robinson and his lovely wife, Yvette. So that was, for me, I cried for everything.
I got to see Marquise and Aaron and... I think I finally met his brother.
His brother Charlie. Charlie. Yeah. Welcome back from the Navy, Charlie.
And he said too, he was like, yeah, "You're the pod guy." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I watched you guys when I was overseas." Yeah. So I was like, "Cool." So you're probably the 1% of Japan that was watching.
Very true. Today I told my dad, he's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "Where I go every Friday night to go, write, produce, and star in the show that I do." And he goes, "I thought Kat was a star."
Damn.
I said, "Yeah, you're right. Double A is the star."
No.
Let's see. Joe says the hippie lettuce. He says, "Yay, had so much fun on Friday the 13th." Maybe that's still you.
That's Roxanne.
Yeah.
Joe, stay on, man. I know you're not gonna really like the topic, but I would like to get your feedback. You might have saw them. Playing live. Who knows? I don't know if you did or not. Just stick around if you can. I know you're always super busy. So
I also told him that it's a great story.
It really is.
Of
inside and outside.
A father and son. One of the aspects I loved about it. Who's a sports guy. Joe may be having these very same conversations in a few short years.
Yeah.
Again, Joe, congrats to your boy on his way to OLLU.
Yeah.
And I want to say congrats to a young man that I won't get to say congrats to. Oh, in fact, I may have to move next Friday's show. I just found out because Jeremy's graduation is next Friday.
What time?
So at 8.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m. Oof. Yeah, and it's out there in Medina Valley, so we got to drive probably an hour. So, guys, maybe a Thursday show next week. We don't have a topic set yet, so if you have ideas, feel free to toss them out.
Next weekend, that actually might be better because Kenobi premieres next Friday. So,
so you guys won't be watching us anyway because
so
you'll be balls deep in that show.
If I was a fan, I'd be watching Kenobi too.
Yeah, we need now watch this to get on so we can watch that show while we're podcasting at the same time.
Joe says Thursday Night Thunder.
There you go,
Nice.
Thursday Night Thunder, man. Yeah, so
And next weekend is to Memorial Day weekend too, so it will be a 3-day weekend for some of us, not all of us. But
we'll
some
have
of
that
us.
means we have plenty of time to podcast. We've got Friday night, Friday late night, Saturday night, and then Sunday night even if we need to. But yes, an early congrats to a former or a fellow alumni of Just Another Friday Night, Jeremy Gonzalez, graduating from Medina Valley High School. Kiddo, I'm super proud of you, man. You did it. You made it. Let's celebrate you next Friday and next weekend. And I'll even move my show. But yeah, if you guys remember Jeremy from our slasher episode during Halloween, the
80,
huge Scream fan.
80 views on YouTube.
Yeah, big time, man. Yeah, the huge. I think by far our youngest alumni, unless you count my nephew who's popped in on occasion. So, what else do we have here?
Joe says he's on. I'm on. Got my Deftones beer.
Are you drinking
I'm
the
on,
IPA or
his
the
Deftones beer.
the regulars, Joe? Because it's got. Oh no, the IPA.
No,
Deftones the
no,
only
I think there
IPA.
is.
It's Pantera that has the regular.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then Kara says, "Go Jeremy." And Joe says they are going to be live tomorrow. Now watch this live tomorrow.
Oh, very nice! I cannot wait for that. I'm ready for that.
And then he says 30th is his birthday, the 30th.
Happy early birthday, Joe! From Now Watch This.
We'll remember next week too.
Yeah, we'll be on next week too. Yeah, and let us know where the party's at, Joe. We don't like to miss that. Let me see if that was all my news that I had to get in through. No. The next thing I had to just mention real quick. This is my last piece of news before we get right into it. Obviously, The Boys trailer came out.
Yes.
Super hype. Yeah, I think
June
so.
9th,
June 9th.
right?
Yeah, so kind of
it's coming
coming
soon.
right up.
It's coming soon.
And it was kind of like low key quiet. Like there was nothing in the now.
I'm kind of surprised. I don't think Amazon does a really good job. Don't you think?
No.
I mean, Boys is a big show. It's
Dude,
a huge show.
After Obama said he watched it, I'm like, you guys got to be on that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's
come
a
on,
great
Amazon.
show. It's a really great show.
Stop focusing on fucking packages and get focused on this. You know what I mean? Like The Boys season 3, man, we can't wait. You know we will be covering that. It is one of our favorite shows.
Favorite comics, favorite shows.
Yeah, from one of our favorite writers, Garth Ennis.
Again, being adapted. Another work of his being adapted. So
if you have not watched The Boys on Amazon Prime, The Boys alone is worth getting Amazon Prime. Go watch The Boys. It is amazing. Joe also says, dude, and Invincible as well. They haven't said shit. I know.
I think I did read something where what's his name? Glenn? What's his name?
I was gonna say Glenn Rhee. That's not his name. Stephen Yeun.
He says he is kind of starting on the voiceover. So yes, it's very slow. I don't know why they're taking their time on Invincible.
Yeah, because animation's supposed to be fast, right? Don't they? Like now.
I think so, especially that kind of animation. It's not like Pixar.
No, it's not. So. And you're just like recording quick. You can like record like everybody separate. You get it all mailed in, and like they're not capitalizing on the popularity of it. Like because we're forgetting. This is what happens in society. People forget. You gotta like boom, 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 hit them with that. Steve says, congratulations to Jeremy. Thank you so much, Steve. I will let him know that you said so. We appreciate you. It looks like you switched formats because I can see your name now.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Damn it. Guys, when I apparently you can go to StreamYard and give them permission to show your name. So I fucking forgot to post that link when I posted this. But I just learned that. I want to give thanks out to the Oxfather, Zach, from Collecting Weekly, who let me know that he puts it on all of his. So you can give permission to see your name through the group. I just got to learn to post that, and then you guys can go do that. Probably one time, and it probably does it forever. So, other than that, Double A, any other pop culture, socially relevant news?
Well, this past Sunday, RCW had a show, and they had like a little meet and greet with Deborah McMichael. I don't know if anyone remembers. She was during the Attitude Era, managed the Four Horsemen. And she had a little meet and greet. It was kind of a last minute thing. I had my daughter with me, and I kind of just dragged her along. And, you know, we went there, and it was just kind of like in and out. And I had her sign my old Raw magazine. This is Deborah, what she looked like. Let me see.
And as JR used to say, "And the puppies!"
23 years ago.
No, that was the King. Sorry.
23 years ago. She put, to Adam, love Deborah.
Dude, I love that. And I saw your pic, Double A. Yeah. So great,
Super nice lady.
I didn't even know you were going.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, she looked beautiful.
I didn't know either. Again, it was a really last-minute decision. It was kind of on the opposite side of town where we're at.
Have we been to the venue?
No, I've never been there before. I've only been when they're at Rotama, and where's the other spot? Oh, and right here in Kirby, somewhere on Kirby. And this is the first time I've ever been to.
You know, when I started with RCW, they wrestled at a church right here off Goliath.
Goliath, yes, I remember. Yeah. So she was super nice, super sweet. Again, she still looked great for like 62, I think she is now.
Yeah,
62, 63. She still looked great.
Man, she's a fox.
And I get it, super nice, super nice.
Good crowd for her.
I don't know. I went in and out. There was a line for the event, so
okay.
But I don't know about her.
Okay, very nice.
Hopefully she did.
Again,
because she is an important piece of the Attitude Era.
Absolutely, and shout out to Brendan Oliver for bringing all these great superstars of the past, man.
And then he's having an event July 3rd, and Ron Simmons is going to be the guest there.
Yeah, that was the new announcement. Damn. So that'd be one we should maybe think about going to.
I met him. You met him.
Oh, that's right. We did meet him.
Yeah, so I don't have that WCW heavyweight belt, that version that he has, so it kind of sucks. But
pretty iconic. Yeah, I remember. I think because I met him and Bradshaw like separately, and then when I met the one of them, they were together again, and I was like, no, I'm good. I met him already.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like
I really don't have anything like worthwhile for Ron Simmons. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have anything. He never really won a title in WWE.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
except for a tag belt. I don't have that
fucking acolytes and of course the AOA. Right? Yeah. Joe says puppies, and he also says Good Shepherd shows. Yeah, that was at the Good Shepherd Church. They rocked. They did indeed. Damn, Joe, we might have been at that together. Steve says hanging out outside tonight, guys, and the bats are flying tonight, guys. Oh, very nice, Steve. Watch out for them bloodsuckers.
Yeah, speaking of bats, I saw Morbius is available now to, I guess, buy on digital.
Oh, and how about that? We both saw The Northman.
I love The Northman. I thought it was good.
Great movie.
I loved it. I flipped out. I felt like my testosterone was going up as the movie was going.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty hype. Now, it wasn't as action-packed as I had hoped. Jessica's dad said the same. He said he thought it was a little boring, a little slow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he wanted more.
I really enjoyed the story.
Yeah, that's what I liked. I liked the story.
It was Hamlet story.
Almost. Yeah, there was that. Yeah, and I felt like, oh, man, I guess I'm not that familiar with Hamlet because the twists in the movie were, to me, like what the fuck? Yeah. Like, no. Yeah. You know what I mean? But well acted, great cast.
Yeah. I loved it.
Alexander Skarsgård.
And then the ending, man. It was like for me, because Jack Kirby, Stanley, they're really ones who got me into like the Norse mythology.
Yeah.
So it's because of them I started digging deeper into the Norse mythology, and all that stuff just like really gets me. You know.
Steve said he lost sound, guys. Steve, how are we now? I'm gonna just keep talking. You let me know if we came in or out.
I love that. I love that whole show. I mean, that whole movie. I loved it. I saw it 2 times.
So. Yeah, badass. Yeah. Nice, very nice. Yeah, we actually the digital copy was to buy it was $25 and the rent was $20. So we're like, I just told Jess, let's just buy it. I mean,
I'm buying it on Blu-ray though. I am buying it.
Oh yeah, I'll check it out again for sure. Guys, if anyone else agrees that we lost sound, please let us know. Everything here looks good to us. So I don't know why that would be. Let me check our internet and everything else. But from what I can see, we're good. But guys, if we have lost sound again, please do let us know. Not our intention to lose sound, but doesn't look choppy. We look like we're okay. What do you think? Steve said he lost sound. I hope that was not for everyone. But if so, please let us know in the comments. But probably more reason to, without further ado, get moving, right? Double A?
He said he got it back.
Okay, perfect. Okay, wonderful.
And just
y'all coming through. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Joe and Steve, thank y'all for always letting us know stuff like that, because sometimes we don't know.
We don't. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we want to cut to the chase tonight. We want to get to it because we want to get you in and get you out. Not that we don't enjoy hanging out all night with you guys, but tonight we want to talk about something that's a little bit out of the norm for us, I guess. I mean, somewhat.
Unless you know us.
You know, I told my coworker today, John, he asked me, he said, what are you doing tonight? I told him, he said, oh, so you guys don't just do comic book stuff. And I said, oh, no. I said, it's a pop culture show. I said, and pop culture just means popular culture. So if it's popular in the culture, then we would definitely talk about it. And sometimes things that are popular in the culture are not comic book related. A lot of them are these days. But we've done multiple sports episodes, and we do consider sports to be part of the pop culture. I mean, like, that's time. Some guys are just sports guys. They never read a comic book or watched a Marvel movie in their life, but they love sports. And we happen to kind of if there was like a Venn diagram, we would be in that middle section where the circles cross over between like the jocks and the
big
nerds,
time.
you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why we're going to talk about what we're talking about tonight. But even if you're not a sports fan, even if you never have seen a single basketball game, you can watch this show on HBO
definitely.
Max and
Yeah.
you can truly
Enjoy
enjoy
it.
and appreciate it because number one, it's a great, fantastic TV show. I put it in the write-up. It's well acted, it's well written, and it looks fucking marvelous. And it's fun. It's fun to
very
watch.
fun.
You know, again, we have it here at the bottom for a reason, but we are Spurs fans. The show that we're talking about tonight is Winning Time on HBO Max, The Rise of the Los Angeles Lakers. Double A, let's just start out, man. Tell me your history, your thoughts, and your feelings around the 1980s Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, you're born in 86.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, you know, they look like a fun team. They were a hungry team. They had some of the best players ever. They had one guy that was considered a top 3 player in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You had one of the, probably the most exciting point guard, Magic Johnson. And you just had probably the best looking coach in the 80s. You know, slick back hair, fucking suits, Armani suits, you know, Pat Riley. I mean, man, he was just so slick.
Well,
I mean, the Lakers, Showtime Lakers.
When you think of, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you think of just great coaches in history of all sports, Pat Riley's up there.
Yeah.
He's in the top, probably maybe even top 10.
Yeah,
you know
I'd say
Just,
5.
you know, oh,
5.
shit, there you go.
Yeah.
Of all sports, of all time.
Oh, of all sports.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about all sports, but I mean in basketball, top 5.
Okay, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing is like I told you this before we started showing filming, what are we doing? You know, my dad is a guy who grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and when the Showtime Lakers were shit hot, you know, he was out he spent some time on the West Coast, and you know, he went to some games, you know, over there or whatever. You know, he was in the Marine Corps. He went to basic training in San Diego. So it's like, you know, that's you know, I guess not far. Again, forgive my geography, but yeah, I mean, it was like the Bulls of the 90s. Everybody was a Lakers fan of those Lakers. You know what I mean? He has one solo picture of him in like a Lakers shirt or whatever.
Lakers or Boston, depending on where you were.
Yeah, depending on where you were, man. I mean, like, they were the team to watch. And we talked about this several times before this. It's like, growing up, I would go to your house, your mom and dad's house, like every weekend, and I would hang out and play with you and you guys, you and your middle brother Will, who's been a one-time guest on the show. And on his wall, he had a Magic Johnson poster, and he had a Magic Johnson jersey hanging up. And we are all the biggest Spurs fans you will run across. But that was like out of fucking respect, man, that you had that shit up. That he had, I think he hung that up, and it was badass. There was the yellow Magic jersey. I remember that. You know, he hung it, you know, with the name
Johnson
showing out. Yeah, the name on the back. And a great poster of Magic doing like a pass.
Like a layup.
Oh, it's like a layup. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I mean, you know, Magic is one of those guys that is revered, and you will talk about in the greatest players of all time. Probably what, top 10?
Yeah,
easily.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, and then, you know, you mentioned Kareem earlier. I do believe on our episode about greatest of all time, you and your brother Boyd.
No, I picked him as the greatest.
Who did Boyd take?
Jordan.
Jordan. Oh,
Jordan,
so were we 3 Jordans to one Kareem? Which I just learned today, hearing this, of winningest basketball players, though. I think he is the winningest.
I would think so.
Basketball player.
I would think so.
Kareem.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think, high school, college. I don't know if he got a gold medal or not. But
did he ever play on an Olympic team? I'm not too sure about the Olympic team because in '72 I think it was only letting college players, and by that point he was already well into basketball, his basketball career.
But then you get the NBA championships, obviously. So you have if you look, I mean, someone would have to look that up. But who is the winningest single basketball player? It may indeed be Kareem, and you know, yeah. So tell me some more double A. I mean, like, you know, you grew up.
So like we love sports. Me and my brothers, CM here.
Sports.
We love sports. We love really good documentaries. I've talked about this show on the 30 for 30 how I love the Four Falls of Buffalo. It's just a really good show on Buffalo.
I'd love to cover that, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, man, 30 for 30s. That's all I'm about. I've watched a whole episode about the Washington Redskins. And I'm not a big fan of theirs, but I love that 30 for 30 that they did of them.
Men that want their ladies to get into sports, or guys that want their friends that aren't into sports to get into sports, they should put one of those on.
Yes.
Because they're so fucking well done.
Great.
It makes any sport team interesting.
I saw 30 for 30 just on the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys. Just all about them. And so when I saw the trailer for Winning Time, first off, I love the way it looked. It looked grainy. It looked like a 70s movie. I loved it. And it was about the start of the Showtime Lakers. And I was asking everybody, hey, are you going to watch this? Are you going to watch this? This looks really cool. It looks, it's about the, the start of the Lakers, how they drafted Magic and how they, went off from there. And everybody was kind of like, maybe. I was like, okay. Saw the first episode. I called everybody I knew. You gotta watch Winning Time. It's fucking great. It's
Did
hilarious.
you get your brother Boy watching, or he
Yes,
was already watching?
I did. No, I had to after a few episodes.
You mentioned it twice on this show,
Yes.
and you mentioned it to me, and everyone knows kind of now that we famously kind of text back and forth throughout the week or whatever about a variety of topics. And you had asked me again, and I was like, no. And I really got a chance to watch when I was, unfortunately, just had that doctor, the dentist thing, and I was waiting like 6 hours, and she was getting
which was perfect. It
oh
turned
my
out to
gosh.
be perfect.
And I was like texting you back, I was like, this show is the shit, dude. It's so fucking fun.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And it's like, also, like, again, as I got deeper in, I was like, man, I had a lot of, Joe, if you're still out there, there's a lot of moments.
He's right there.
I saw we kind of chopped up a little bit for a second there, but there's a lot of tearjerker moments, believe me, brother, and they're good ones, especially a sports father and a sports son, you know what I mean? So Joe also says SA is a basketball town, no doubt. He says, he mentions Showtime, obviously. He says, dude, I love the 80s Spurs.
Late 80s.
Yeah. Late 80s Spurs. Yeah,
David comes
totally. In regards to Magic.
the greatest point guard
possibly.
of all time.
And then Joe says, show starts crazy. Yeah,
it starts crazy, yes.
Yeah, and I had forgot about that opening because the show gets so good.
Yes.
It kind of starts on a really grim note.
Yeah.
So you want to get right into that, Double A?
Yeah, go ahead.
So episode 1, guys, again, it starts in 1991, and you see, what we learn now is Magic Johnson.
His retirement.
Yeah. Magic Johnson played wonderfully by a virtually unknown actor,
Quincy Jones, right?
Quincy Isaiah.
Okay.
Quincy Isaiah. Yeah, and I mean, if you're any type of even a moderate sports fan, because this was like global news.
It was huge because this was a killer at this time.
He was announcing his retirement. Why, Double A?
Because he had caught the HIV virus, which turned into AIDS, and pretty much at this time, it was almost like a death sentence, almost. So everybody was pretty fucking scared. No one really knew the depths of the disease yet.
This was like a wake-up call for a lot of people.
It was a huge wake-up call.
Because remember, it was thought of as like,
it was really the shutdown of the 80s, pretty much.
Right.
That whole mentality of the 80s, it was kind of like, okay, it's got to stop here.
Yeah, and there was a lot of negative connotations with the AIDS.
It was just like you're strictly
virus.
gay, you're a homosexual. If you got it.
Right. And this was like the wake up call to like this guy that was been on our TVs, this guy that is a champion, this guy that is a sports legend, sports hero.
By that
already.
time, one of the greatest players ever.
It was easily said
ever
that.
At that point.
Mean, it was like, what the fuck just happened? It was like someone turned the volume down and
if you see, there's another great documentary on HBO Max. It's Magic and Bird rivalry, and it says that it knocked Bird off his socks. It really made him depressed. He goes, he hadn't felt that depressed since his father had passed away, had killed himself. That was the only time that he had felt that kind of level of sadness, and it really hurt Larry. And he said that after that, he really didn't feel like playing basketball anymore.
Shit, that's fucking heavy, Double A. I'm already choked up. Rizzo in the house says,
"Hey, what's up, Rizzo?
What's up, Riz?"
Joe says NBA was hot at this time, early '90s classic. Yeah, I mean, man, we were all watching basketball. Remember, Sam? We were going everywhere watching the basketball games.
I can tell you this: when I got back from California, where my dad was stationed, I did not want to live there. Where my dad was stationed, and I got back to San Antonio, the greatest city in this free country.
I can attest to that. He was stationed there.
We would hang out. You guys, you and your brothers were showing me, NBA Inside stuff with Ahmad Rashad. I'd never watched that.
Loved them.
They had volumes of NBA videotapes, VHS tapes, and we would play them over and over and over. And I was like, I couldn't get enough.
Yeah,
I couldn't get enough.
It was so many great players at this time.
Yeah.
Michael was finally breaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Magic was towards the end, but I mean, it was Magic. It was still Larry. We had David coming in. We had Charles coming into his own.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing, Akeem Olajuwon. We had all these great players that were just busting out.
I mean, you guys truly familiarized me with some of the other stuff going on in the NBA besides just who I knew and I liked, because I can remember being in California and us having field day and having to make our own jerseys with glue, whatever, which was just a white T-shirt that you put. And I made myself number 50, and my other classmates were like, "Oh, cool, Robinson, that's pretty dope." And they were like, "You like San Antonio?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's like where my family's from."
And then the nicknames too, man. Right? I mean, it was Air
the
Jordan, the Admiral,
Magic, Dr.
J, the Dream.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a dream shake.
Yeah, seriously. Because I got back into San Antonio about '93. I mean, so the Bulls had already won a couple, and I mean, of course, even in California. Because I remember talking to your brother Will on the phone, and being like, "Hey, man, are you like a Lakers fan?" And I was like, "No, I'm not really." And then he's like, "Well, who do you like?" And I was like, "Well, I really like Michael Jordan. And I like the Bulls." Because again, it's the 90s. Everyone liked the Bulls.
I mean, it was kind of funny, right? Because like Frank, remember when he was in Seattle? Our cousin Frank, another veteran. He was a Seattle Sonics fan, and he was at that time with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. So
it's kind of crazy because he was kind of in Seattle like during like grunge.
He was.
Which is fucking crazy. Yeah. Frank is the biggest Kahunto guy,
Frank,
and I'm like,
if you're out here.
Yeah, salute to you, Frank. But damn, man, shit, Frank could have probably caught Nirvana.
He probably did. He was probably like, fuck them. Man, look like a bunch of bums.
You're blowing my fucking mind right now. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but I remember Frank, like, all of a sudden when he would come down here, he'd be like, yeah, Seattle Supersonics are my team. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because he lived there, so.
Let's see. What the fuck here? There's a bunch of comments that just rolled in. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I don't want to offend anybody. Joe
says, I was a card collector back then. That was the other big thing, the card collecting.
Nothing like a bunch of silver hoops for you there.
Yeah. Remember the rookie cards? Seeing with the phone?
Oh, yeah.
The new rookies, the cards, they'll be on the phone with the hats.
Joe, if you want some of those silver hoops, I got some trades for you we can talk about.
Steve says 80s were fine, but the Spurs own the 90s and beyond, in my mind at least.
Absolutely, Steve. You're 100% right. Yeah. But Steve, I would love to hear your opinion. What did you think about the 80s Showtime Lakers, like Magic Johnson, Pat Riley, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Did you have thoughts and opinions on them as a Spurs fan?
Or even the Spurs too. I mean, Iceman was still around. Artis Gilmore was there. Johnny Moore.
Obviously for us, in the 2000s, there was like a real deep hate of the Kobe, Shaq Lakers.
That was...
There's no love whatsoever.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, despite this
I know
setup.
His past and everything, Kobe, but I think he would respect that I would say, fuck the Lakers.
Rest in peace, Kobe, but he does know that we hate him for a reason, which is legit. He wants to be hated. That guy thrived on that.
Thrived on it. He thrived
which
on
is what we miss about basketball.
Yeah.
And Double A, I want to say that real quick. I have been so fucking bored with basketball, man. The NBA to me has been
everyone's like, oh... he's my buddy.
I forgot that I loved basketball, that I have counted it as my number one sport for years, especially as a Spurs fan. Because in these recent years, man, it has just been so bright.
Sorry.
This show, Double A, ignited that spark in me again. I was like, oh my God, I miss this basketball.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? They should make NBA players now watch this fucking show, man. I'm like, this shit is what you should do. And for all the Lakers fans out there, I cannot wait till they do the LeBron HBO Max series of the Lakers called The Fall of the Lakers, Losing Time. I've been saving that joke for a week, so I got that for you right there. Joe says, I told you, Californian. Come to California. That's my Arnold right there.
Hey.
Also, let's see. Shit. Facebook user that says, yes, it's a very good show. Identify yourself. I want to know because we didn't know anybody else that watched it. So
okay, cool.
Identify yourself, Facebook user that says it's a very good show. Rizzo says, yeah, Joe, me too. I miss my cards so much.
Now that's the inside stuff.
Yeah.
Dream Team too, man. Yeah, that was around that time too, in the early 90s.
I mean, you don't have that Dream Team without Magic. I mean, of course, you've also got Bird and Jordan.
But that's what made it right there. That's
David.
Kind of what made it right there.
That's a fucking...
those three names.
That's Murderers Row right there.
Yeah.
Double A. That's a hit squad.
Yes.
I don't think there's an NBA team or even a made up team on earth that could have beat that team anywhere at any time. Even at that time when some of them were aging.
Yes.
No. You're not beating those guys.
Rizzo says the inside stuff was the shit.
Absolutely.
And Joe says every team had a top player. That's
Absolutely.
what we miss. Yeah. Rizzo says couldn't stand Detlef Shrimp with the Sonics too.
Deadlift Shrimp,
Man,
Shrimp shade was not something I expected.
I know.
I got a Silver Hoops card for you, Rizzo, if you want to trade there.
Joe says games at the Hemisphere Arena rocked.
We have that distinction, right? Having seen games in all three. I have seen games in the Hemisphere.
Joe says Lakers had Worthy, who was great, and Cooper, who was a great defender. Yep. Rizzo says Kobe, second coming of MJ. Joe says the Dream Team documentary is very good, must watch. I watched it, Joe, like probably already 25 times.
Where's that one at?
They show whenever on NBA channel, or I don't know. Joe, is it streaming anywhere? I don't know if it's streaming, but whenever it comes on the NBA channel, I fucking watch it.
I need to watch it.
I love that Dream Team.
I want to watch that one.
Because it shows, even in 92, he already had the AIDS, but they were still fucking competitive. It was Magic's team versus Jordan's team, and they just couldn't wait to just fucking
go at
it.
Man,
it was
that.
great.
I missed that.
You see the shit talking that they do to each other. They're playing horse. They're doing all this kind of stuff. Because, man, it's great. And no one even looks at Magic like he's sick. Nobody. Like, everybody's playing super hard, super competitive. He's saying David to go after fucking Malone. He's saying, all these guys. He's saying Clyde to get after Michael. I mean, man, he's just like, fucking get on him.
What a captain, man. I always love the scenes, though, when they show Dream Team stuff. They inadvertently always show that shot of Jordan being, I think it's in Spain or Italy, and there's that big Jordan banner, right? And he's even looking up like, he shit. Looks up, and you're like, wow, like, can you imagine, I'm like that here, you know what I mean? Like, that's fucking wild. So absolutely love that.
Rizzo and Joe says they think they can find it on YouTube.
I love it. Joe says Shrimp was great on
NBA Jam.
Wow. And just as we go from Detlef Shrimp shade now to Detlef Shrimp love.
Yeah, and Rizzo says, that's why I couldn't stand him, Joe. He was great.
This is not the dichotomy of basketball that I thought I was going to get tonight.
And then Joe says when they went to Kukoc.
Wow.
Okay.
But guys, we're talking about the Lakers in a sense.
Yeah, so winning time, as CM said, it kind of starts off, you're about to see the announcement, which I don't think you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of flash forwards back to 1979. Lakers are kind of like, I don't know if they were in a slump or not. Maybe they were. Kareem's not really... He's there, but he's not really fucking there mentally anymore. He's getting his points. He's getting his rebounds. Whatever. Rookie owner, Jerry Buss, is attempting to buy the Lakers. He really wants to draft Magic Johnson, number one, not Larry Bird. He wants to draft Magic. We get Jerry West, who looks like he's burned out from coaching, having some shit fits every now and then.
Yes. Which AA now? I originally guys, we were supposed to have AA's brother, Boy Ayala, also on the show, who you guys have seen before on our NBA greatest players, and then on our NFL episode on here before, because this is another guy that is a huge basketball purist and a huge and I told AA, if you guys are both on the show, this show's gonna be called like, did that really happen? Because that's what I'm gonna be asking, because guys, as much as I love basketball, like, my history is not always all there. So I was literally watching Winning Time with, like, not knowledge of what outcomes were. And I was wondering, I was like, is this real or is this for TV? Like, I was literally wondering, like, even when it came to people's names and people, who they were, I was like, was that real, or is that a real guy? And I was like, I wanted you guys to be in the room with me so I could talk to you both and ask you those questions. So even as right now, as we go through the episodes, I'm going to be asking AA, was that a thing? Was that for real? So just prepare yourself for that. And again, I was looking at my phone only because I wanted to get the episode count. 10. It was 10 episodes. Okay, yeah. Thank you, AA. And I have my notes here, but I actually remembered them, but I didn't have that written down. So go ahead, carry on, AA.
And it's just showing kind of like, Buss is trying to buy the team. The original owner is kind of like giving him a little hard time, but he's trying to get the team. He really wants the Lakers. He really wants to try this. Mm-hmm. He really wants to own the NBA team. He wants to own the Forum. He just thinks it's great. He just thinks it's marvelous. All this stuff. He just thinks it's great. It's in Hollywood. It's in LA. And
Jerry Buss played fantastically by John C. Reilly. I'm a huge John C. Reilly fan.
But this is something like totally different than I used to seeing from him. and he killed it. He did great as
Yeah.
Jerry Buss.
I mean, I love
Dr.
him
Jerry Buss.
in, of course, his comedic stuff with Will Ferrell, Step Brothers, um, uh, fucking Talladega Nights. But if you ever watch him in like Magnolia, it's kind of a more serious role. He's fantastic in that.
He's good in Gangs of New York. His little role in Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York, yes. Yeah. He's just great. But this, I mean, man, I see Emmy coming this man's way.
It was a different level.
He's great. It's comedic as well. And you know what they do, Double A, right? They break the fourth wall, right? So he talks to the camera.
Times.
He talks to you multiple times. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, too, is what I learned is I also listened. They had a companion podcast, the same way that Peacemaker had a companion podcast, which is a great thing.
I guess that's an HBO Max thing.
Yeah, it's HBO Max thing, which is great because they're only 30 minutes and you get like a lot of behind the scenes stuff and interviews. So I listened to like the first maybe 6 episodes of it, and it was great. It's by one of like the writers of the show, and I forget what his other role is, executive producer, I think. But he was saying that one of the guys found this really old camera and they started shooting on it just to see what it looked like. And they were like, oh, right away when they saw the footage, they were like, oh man, it's that fucking grainy old footage. Yeah. So there's so many parts of the show that look like that. They, that when they do these big wide shots of the city, it looks all grainy and like how you'd watch old TV. And man, it just helps you get sucked in, right? Reminds you of that. Yes. Because this is a time that we did grow up in, right? Yes. We were in the 80s, you know what I mean? So when we watch TV, sometimes it fucking looked like that.
And that's one of the things that grabbed me when I saw it on the trailer. That's actually one of the things that got me to watch it, to want to watch it. So,
so like Double A said, we've got Buss. He's wanting to buy the team. It's kind of funny. This part of the plot is that he doesn't have all the money, and this current owner of the fucking Lakers, is this real fucking prick.
Seems like a prick.
He's a racist asshole. And I like it too because race does come into play in this, but it's kind of done in a really good way where it's not heavy-handed.
Yeah. It's just the times. They kind of show it at the times.
It's just the times. And which is kind of sad because we're saying that in the 80s, and if you said it in the 70s, if you said it in the 60s, if you said it in the fucking 40s, it's like, it's been
No, but it wasn't until like about the 2000s that people actually started saying stop. You know what I mean? Like that's when we started hearing that, like stop.
Agree. Agree. But yeah, I mean, like there is some really great scenes with that, shitbag owner before Buss gets in there. And Buss, you can tell, just wants to win, right?
Yes.
Like he's a guy kind of soul searching, right? Mm-hmm. He wants something to maybe fill in this emptiness in him, and he thinks this is it.
Yeah.
I think it does become it eventually. You know what I mean? But
I'm
he's
sure
not
it does.
sure.
It becomes a family business almost later on, much later on.
Yeah.
They don't show it in this show, but it really does become a family business.
Well, let's not bury the lead here, Dylan. We do know there's going to be a season 2.
Yes, there is going to be a season 2, but I don't know how. Like, I know the family gets involved. I just don't know when the family really does super involved in it.
Or how.
Because obviously Jeannie is the owner now. She is the owner of the team now. So.
Yes, and her character is a prominent character in this series as well.
This is daughter takes over.
Double A. You want to read through some of these comments?
We already did.
Oh, we're good. Okay, we're good on comments. Okay, sorry. I thought it was more Deadlift Shrimp talk. I wasn't sure there.
So what she introduced her to, she's trying to be like an intern almost, kind of trying to learn some of the inside and outs of the business, so yeah.
So an interesting fact that I just read on IMDb is that one of the people behind the show is Adam McKay. And if you know that name, you know that that's a guy that was for many years a partner with Will Ferrell. They did a lot of the funniest Will Ferrell movies. I think they did Step Brothers. I think they did Talladega Nights. They did, I think, even the Anchorman stuff. But I think they kind of famously had like a falling out, and I did not know this, and I don't know if this is fact. This might just be hearsay, but what I read on IMDb was that the falling out was because Will Ferrell wanted to play Buss.
Oh, wow.
And McKay, they split. I know McKay went and did some more serious work, and it had good responses to it, and that he's the one that instead chose John C. Reilly.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I think that's a better choice, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's probably why he's like, I'm going with John.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to not see certain people a certain way, and like you just see Will Ferrell kind of as Will Ferrell a lot.
Yeah.
And John C. Reilly, I mean, again, he immerses himself in this role where I'm like, I don't know much about Dr. Jerry Buss, but for me now, I mean, like in my mind, it's like tied together with this guy. So go ahead, Double A. What else? I mean, like we've obviously got that's kind of the motivating plot. They're also not sure about drafting.
Because I mean, everyone assumes Larry Bird's going to be the number one. Mm-hmm. Despite Magic beating him in the finals, the college NBA title game, Larry Bird is still kind of like the golden goose.
Yeah.
You know, and no one, like, they kind of see Magic as a distant number two.
And people are kind of having that conversation, right? It kind of
Yes.
shows them in the offices. And it's funny because they show these clips of like Magic playing, and it's like, you know, Magic Johnson, blah, 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 his stats. And then it's like black, 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 black.
Yeah.
And then it shows, you know,
Yes.
Larry Bird. And
Yes.
it's like Larry Bird doing all this great shit. And it's like white, 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 white,
Yes.
white, white, white. It's like people aren't saying it,
Yes.
but it's like,
it's there.
that's what
Yes.
it is. It's a black guy and a white guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rizzo says, switch to YouTube, guys. Listen, because I'm drawing. Oh, draw away, Rizzo. We want to see some of that stuff, brother. We appreciate it.
Joe says his daughter takes over, and it says Will might have taken away from it, Joe says. I agree with you, Joe. I think Will, I just don't see him as
Yeah.
much.
He also says John C. Reilly is a great actor.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you on that. I love John C. Reilly. Again,
It's just pretty much like the first episode is kind of like just the moves going on. Him trying to find the money to make sure he gets the purchase. Jeannie trying to figure out if this is what she really wants to do. Magic kind of playing hardball a little bit on the contract negotiations.
Yes,
Saying
yeah,
he
I
kind
love
of wanted
that.
600,000, not the. He wants more than Bird.
oh, I love that, man.
Because he feels like he deserves it. He beat Larry Bird.
And we get to meet some of these great actors, right?
Yeah.
We mentioned John C. Reilly. We mentioned the young, kind of upcoming, like the unknown, virtually Quincy Isaiah playing fantastically Magic Johnson. This guy is going to go far, I think, Double A.
I think so.
How about this guy that we know and we kind of really grew to love?
Jason
Here?
Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
Yes.
Playing the very, very insane
Mr. the logo.
the logo.
Mr. Class.
You know, I love this stuff they throw. They throw up these word blocks on the screen, right? So they're like Jerry West, nicest guy in basketball.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
unless you know him, and he's like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's because this guy is so passionate about the sport and the
He
team,
is,
especially the
yes,
team.
yes.
He loves the Lakers.
Bleeds purple and yellow. You know?
To a fault, almost.
Yes.
You know, because it's almost like his wife is kind of like, fuck, man, snap out of it. You know what I mean? And what do we know him from Double A? Here I see
Terminator. He's come out in Rise of the or not Rise.
Dawn of the Planet
Dawn
of
of
the
the Planet
Apes.
Apes.
Yeah. He's just one of those faces that I feel like I know a lot. Pet Cemetery.
Yes,
he
you've
was
seen him in a lot of
the Lewis
movies.
of Pet Cemetery.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah,
he plays John Connor in Dark Fate. He
That's
plays
right.
one of the main humans in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. You know, so
all that stuff.
Yeah, Rizzo. Yeah, Jerry West did not like how he was portrayed. I'm sure none of them are gonna like how they were portrayed. They show, you know, Quincy Isaiah plays Magic, and it's like right off the bat, as soon as he gets to LA, he's just like having sex like crazy with so many different women. I mean, it kind of leads to the 91.
It was magic.
Yeah.
For sure. So real quick on that, Double A, let me tell you some of the stuff I got from the podcast. So this show is based on a book. So
Yes.
people are hating, but I'm like, it's based on a book.
yeah.
Showtime by Jeff Pearlman. The writers of the show are a gentleman named Max Borenstein and Rodney Barnes. Rodney Barnes is who hosts the podcast, the companion podcast. He does a great job. And he says who would not talk to him was Magic, Kareem, and Pat Riley. So he talked to, he says, Wes Matthews and some of the other side guys, which he said that's who he wanted to talk to. He's like, I wanted to talk to the people that were watching it.
Or
like,
seeing them.
the way we're going to be watching
Yes.
it. Because obviously, you know, Magic isn't going to talk about, like,
He's not going to talk about,
room full of hoes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, you know, but as this other guy, Wes Matthews, might say, like, oh, Magic had a lot of women
Yeah.
in this room that
Yeah.
night, you know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of what we want or whatever. Now, Double A, do you know anything about, like, how are they able to use, like, the Lakers name, the Lakers logos, the
Maybe
players'
it's public
names?
domain. Maybe they were able to use them.
Okay, I found that interesting.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Maybe at this point, maybe if you make if you point out it's fictional, maybe not everything is accurate. Maybe you can use it.
And that is a big disclaimer right at the beginning of the show,
Yes, it
guys.
is.
It says some of these things have been interpreted, so it's not necessarily, you know,
Factual.
It's not trying to be factual in any way.
But yeah, so like Jason Clarke got like a lot of notice because the way he's portrayed Jerry West, no one has ever seen Jerry West like this, like ever.
Hey, you know what, Double H, me? This made Jerry West cool.
I thought so too. This is what the episode where he's like busting out cursing. That's the episode I was texting everybody. You gotta fucking watch Jason Clarke. He's fucking hilarious as Jerry West. He's just cursing and fucking throwing shit everywhere. I mean, it's just fucking hilarious.
Hey, man, I feel for him, too, because, like, you know, this guy won MVP in a game, in a
He's
championship
the
game,
only-
you lost.
He's the only MVP on the losing side of the NBA Finals.
I mean, nobody wants that award, right?
Nobody
So
wants
you're
that fucking award.
I would be like, man, don't even send me that. I'm not even going to come out and
I'm not-
accept.
yeah.
What the fuck? Fuck that. Like, that's
First-
almost gross in its own, like.
First off, that's an insult to Jerry West, and that was an insult to the Boston Celtics. Almost. I mean, that's just a double insult. Whoever thought of that was like, Jerry West needs to win. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
I feel like there was some white exec somewhere that was like, well, I like that boy. Give him an
Yeah.
award. You know what I mean?
And man, if I would look at that fucking award, I'd be like, wow, like this fucking sucks.
Oh, I think that's how Jason Clark portrayed it. Is that he
When
was like,
throws out the
you
window.
want to know what I got this fucking thing? And he's like slamming it. And you're like, holy shit. Like, this guy's a really angry guy. And it's so much fun. It's so much fucking fun, man.
I would like to think maybe Jerry West will go off the rails sometime. I mean, it's stressful.
Yeah.
How many times we were watching Spurs playoff games, us, and we'd be shouting and
Oh my
fucking
God.
cussing just like how we're seeing Jerry West on the show.
Yeah.
We're fucking cussing. We're throwing shit. We're like, motherfucker.
Your
fucking, like, Ginobili made
Yeah.
that bad fucking pass. What was he thinking? It was like, we see everybody, like, just go off the rail.
Your fucking brother boy, who I wish he was here, has literally fired the entire squad.
Yeah.
Even in championship seasons, he's fired Parker, he's fired Tim, he's fired Manu, he's fired Pop. I'm like, boy, what?
Yeah.
What?
What? He's been a literal Jerry West.
Yo, big time. Yeah, big time.
And our other buddy, Ray, that was here, he's, like, threatening to commit suicide after we lost the 2013 NBA Finals. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a real thing there. So.
yeah.
Double A, one of the cool things I wanted to talk about quickly was, and you brought this to my attention, but was the character Norm Nixon
Yes.
is played
Yes,
by
it's
his
played
son,
by his actual son,
Devon.
And, yes, and that clip that I showed you, it almost looked like him. You remember the finals?
Yes,
I was
it
like,
did.
holy shit, that looks
Yeah.
like Norm, like the son. The son looks like him.
So one of the cool things from the podcast, again, and I highly suggest you guys go listen to the Winning Time companion podcast after you watch the show. Even they say it. Watch the show for a second. They're only 30 minutes. He says, Rodney Barnes asks him, again, one of the writers says, what did your dad think when you got the role, whatever? He was like, oh, my dad's a real cool customer. He's real cool. So he was like, oh, that's cool, son. That's cool. Like, he said wasn't like hype about it. He goes, but he didn't expect him to be hype about it. But I'm like, man, I would think that would be pretty neat. You know what I mean?
Well, because I guess he already knew, oh shit, they might show something behind the
Some
scenes.
stuff. Yeah, maybe you're right. Definitely true.
And I'm sure maybe he asked him to. He was like, hey, man, how was Kareem in the back? How was Magic in the back?
Right.
How was he as a rookie?
Right.
How was, this and that? How was Jamal Wilkes,
Yes.
Probably like, I want to know what the feeling was in the camp,
Yeah. And the writer I'm talking about, Rodney Barnes, who hosts the podcast, if you want to see him, he is in the show. If you remember he's one of the guards. If you remember the scene where we get introduced to Pat Riley and he's trying to get in, the guard that's talking to him, that's him.
Okay.
And he said he didn't know that they were going to put him in that role. He
Okay.
just came in one day and they're like, hey, Rodney, we're going to have you play this. And he goes, that's cool. What I did like about what I heard on the podcast was that it seemed like the people that were behind this show were really big fans of the Lakers and the Lakers lore.
And you can
of the
see
80s.
it. That's why I don't like it when the Lakers hate it, obviously. But they're missing the whole point. They're not seeing all this kind of stuff. It is a love letter. They're showing them how they came up. This is about them becoming the NBA franchise that dominated the 80s.
No one likes the negative shit of your life
course
highlighted.
not.
But guess what? As us watching it, we're like, fuck, that's badass. That Jerry Buss wakes up in the fucking Playboy Mansion surrounded by women. Because guys that aren't going to do that, like me and Double A, you know what I mean? We're like, we live vicariously through shows like this where you're like, wow, that's cool.
And
You know
not
what I
just
mean?
that, honestly, I've never looked up Jerry Buss before. And, he's a doctor. He was a scientist, that worked for the government.
You know what?
he
They don't
tells
talk
Magic
about
that.
why he was. Oh, that's right. He does say that. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's talking to Magic. And it's kind of like, wow, this dude was a super smart genius.
But he made his money at real estate, though.
Yes, he did real estate, but
because
still,
he owned the
just the
Chrysler
fact
building.
that he had that in the background.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, who would have left that first off? To do something like this. You know what I mean? It's a complete 180.
Absolutely. Someone that shows up in the show as Jerry Buss's mom, amazing actress, Sally Field.
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
She
when I saw
wasn't.
that.
She wasn't Aunt May. So that's a high kudos. But I mean,
real quick,
obviously
Joe says, I want to say there was a clip of YouTube of Jerry West flipping out at games. Uh, then Rizzo says, "Dude, it was rough, but geez."
Yeah.
And then Joe says, "Dang, I didn't know the actual guys didn't like the show." Yes,
Yeah.
Kareem had a problem with it. Magic had a problem with it. You said Pat Riley.
Well, they just didn't talk
Jerry
to him
West
for the book.
had a major problem with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You
They
know,
just,
so-
I mean,
and
no
again,
one
it's
wants-
kind of showing a side that you just didn't see.
And this is another reason why we're covering this, right? Because this is entertainment. We're talking about the show here. We're not talking about our love for the Lakers franchise by any means. We're talking about that we both really loved and enjoyed this show, Winning Time, and it was a fun and fantastic show that kind of, maybe it's kind of like when you watch fucking Inglourious Bastards, right? I don't think that's how Hitler died, is what they showed us there in Inglourious Bastards. It's like when you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't think that that's really what happened to Sharon Tate.
Again, and you've heard me talk about it in our football episode, but I binge watched the 6-parter Joe Montana documentary. I'm not a San Francisco 49er fan. I hate the 49ers. But I wanted to see this doc because it was Joe Montana.
I would like to jump on that and say that I also hate the 49ers. If anyone out there cares to know that. Let's see here. I also want to talk about... let's see, I talked about Adam McKay, Sally Field here. I talked about, okay, let's see. Okay, I want to hear a little bit about what are some of your favorite performances in this show, because I have 2 that really stood out to me.
Okay.
Do you have a favorites?
Oh, yeah. Like, you mean the actors themselves?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jason Segel.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Adrian Brody.
Great. Adrian Brody. Guys, Adrian Brody's in this, if we didn't say that already. Adrian Brody plays Pat Riley.
He fucking rocks.
And he rocks. He fucking rocks. I'm like, dude, didn't he win an Oscar already for something else?
Yes, he did. Yes, because he kissed Halle Berry.
He should win an Oscar for this.
And, man, the way he portrays Pat Riley, I'm like, wow, I can see how Pat Riley could have fired these guys up, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I was watching him in the role, I was like, I'm seeing the look, like, oh, yeah, that nose and that tan
it's starting to come out, yeah.
I'm like, shit, all right, this is a good casting,
it was
man.
starting
Great
to come
casting,
out, Quincy Isaiah was, I mean, I can't think, the dude almost looks like magic. I mean, it's fucking crazy. It's uncanny.
You kept saying that to me. You kept saying, man, there's moments I'm watching.
I'm like, wow, that looks magic.
And then again, of course, we all know, even if you interviewed Magic Johnson 1,000 times, and if he was being 100% honest, he might tell a story that's going to maybe not be like cinematically exciting or whatever. But they take conversations with him and Cookie that are really great. Again, I want to give credit to the gal that plays Cookie because she is absolutely gorgeous.
Joe says Forrest is mom, and then Joe says, "Dude, did they mention Kareem getting beat up by Bruce Lee?" No, they did not mention. Oh yeah, you know what? They did actually.
They kind of show him briefly, like on the set. Yeah.
What's that movie? I forgot the movie where he.
Oh shit!
And it's a good one. I do like that movie. It was
Mr.
a really
Fury?
cool plot. I can't remember, but it was a good plot.
Game of Death.
Yeah, with
Game of
every
Death.
level, it's a different.
Yeah, and he's at the top, and he gives him that kick, boom, with like
and
the
he
foot,
looks
the
scary.
footprint.
He looks scary because he's like way taller than Bruce Lee is.
Yeah. So speaking of him, speaking of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the gentleman that plays him,
Game of Death, Joe says.
Yeah, Game of Death. Dr. Solomon Hughes. So this guy is a doctor that plays him or whatever. The guy hasn't acted very much or whatever. They mainly got him because of his height, but they were kind of helping him along through. Man, the guy, I don't know how much Kareem was actually like that, but this guy, to me, he's stealing a lot of the scenes in the show.
From the little bit I've read about Kareem, after he was traded to the Lakers, it was kind of like some up and down seasons. You know, he kind of lost his kind of love for basketball, like the way they kind of show it in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Not really feeling it anymore. Not really feeling the love of the game anymore. And it did help when they drafted Magic. Magic did bring a jolt to Kareem that he needed.
Yes.
Was he really a dick to that kid on Airplane? I don't know. I really don't know if he said fuck off to the kid or
and
not.
they show that great scene, which is awesome, by the way.
You know, I don't know, but he did believe. Was it the Nation of Muslim? Was he a Muslim too?
Yes, he was a Muslim. The Nation of
which
Islam,
apparently his father had a problem with. They show that too.
Mm-hmm.
They show the problem that he hated that he's changing his name from Lew Alcindor to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, they do a great job with that, right?
Yes,
Going to
did.
his past.
very successful. One of the greatest college players ever. Won a ring like in his second year with the Milwaukee Bucks. Just dominant player. Just super dominant player.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your pick for greatest of all time.
I still think he's the greatest of all time. I mean, you can't deny the man playing 20 consistent years of just being a essential piece of a team. He plays great. I loved it. He's very mellow. He's very out there. Well, not out there. He's very isolated from his teammates. They all show for respect. They show respect. Hey, Cap.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Cap. Hey, Cap. But he doesn't give much back.
No.
There's not like a lot of give back.
No.
He's
kind of like emotionally checked out.
Or he's just like, it's his job. He clocks in, he clocks out, and he's gone.
That's a great way of putting it, though. He treats it just like that. Joe says, there's a movie that I liked back in the day called
Forget Paris.
Yes, but Billy Crystal throws cream out of the game. Yeah, that's a great movie. I think Dave's in that, too.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Instead of the Phoenix Suns eliminating us, it was he shot the ball after the whistle.
Okay.
So it didn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Fuck you, Billy Crystal.
No, against Charles.
Oh, shit, nice. There you go.
And Dave says, we'll see you in San Antonio.
That's right. Yes. I love that.
But I like this performance. And he gets better as the episodes go on. He starts opening up.
Double A, I think I told you earlier on, I was like, if they ever did, and they should fucking do, Winning Time, The Rise of the San Antonio Spurs, I know he probably doesn't want to be typecast, but I would 100% cast Dr. Solomon Hughes as Tim Duncan. I think that he would play a icy motherfucking Tim Duncan to a T. I was like, in fact, I was watching him as Kareem and getting Tim Duncan vibes, and I was like, man, this guy's like, and I'm like, man, Tim was like Kareem in a way. Like, they were like kind of the same, man. We're like I think Tim thought of basketball like a job too.
He probably did because he wanted to be a swimmer.
Yeah, and he liked video games. Yeah. And like this is like work. Like even when he won rings, it's like he celebrated very like nonchalantly. Like I was just like Tim didn't. And I love.
He wasn't
Michael.
David.
He wasn't David. And even David though. But I mean, like No,
but David let his emotions come out.
Right.
David was a very emotional guy.
Your brother famously talks about like that. Was it the second time Jordan won when he's hugging the trophy on the floor and like crying? Yeah. And I love MJ. Michael Jordan to death. But, your brother's like, that's bullshit. He's fucking like, that's bullshitting or whatever. Like, I'm like, come on, man. The guy fucking, that's amazing. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's not Tim. And that did not seem like that was Kareem either. You know what I mean? So.
Well, Kareem already won it. And he was if you see the Milwaukee Bucks Kareem, oh man, he's very animated.
Oh, nice.
Very, very fucking animated. So you need to watch like Milwaukee Bucks Kareem.
And I bet in that squad he was really doing the heavy lifting.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he was. I mean, he was fucking going up against Wilt Chamberlain a lot of the times,
Wow, so nice. So he won on the East and the West.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, he dominated on both sides. So, Joe says real quick, they never do the Spurs. There's not a lot of drama.
Yes, they will, Joe.
And Joe says David for many, many years tried and couldn't get over the hump.
I think just the story alone of us versus the Heat in the LeBron time with the law, the sweep, and then the comeback, that's a great sports story. You know what I mean? And if you get into the drama of like, Parker and Barry's wife, and you get into the drama,
which would be a winning time.
Yeah, you get into the drama of like Tim getting ripped off by the financial guy or whatever. Like there's some drama there, Joe. I think, you know what I mean. Like again, you make it good. You make Hollywood will make it good.
Joe says Bulls will probably be the next next movie.
That's fine. I'll watch that. Let's see who they cast as Jordan. I'm very interested in that.
But yeah, he played a great Kareem. Great
Kareem. Love again. The guy's name is Dr. Solomon Hughes. Never heard of him. Apparently, he like Quincy Isaiah. He's a virtually unknown. But man, what a stellar job! And again, my casting for Tim Duncan. If you had asked me 1,000 times, I would never come with anybody. But now I know who would play Tim Duncan in my Spurs movie, and it is this gentleman right here. I hate to make him play another basketball player, but hey, it is what it is. Double A, another performance that I loved, and Joe, I'm glad you're here for this. The gentleman's name is Mr. Rob Morgan, and he plays Irving Johnson Sr.
Oh, yeah.
And man, his scenes with him and his son, his scenes with him and the young boy that plays the young son, boy, I was, I mean, they're so good. They're so very good.
Magic Unreal Docs has mentioned his dad plenty of times saying how he worked 2 jobs most of the time, and even got a plaque from the dealership that he was working at. He worked at a car factory.
Chrysler.
Yeah, getting like a thing, a plaque or something saying for never missing a day of work in like 25 years or something. Like he went in and out, so yeah, I mean, he was a hardworking guy to try to provide and encourage Magic to go out there and be the best.
These scenes with him and his son are so juicy. Again, it's Rob Morgan, the actor, as Irvin Sr. with Quincy Isaiah as Irvin Jr., Magic Johnson. But that first scene, right, Double A, where they're going to eat with the then owner of the Lakers, that guy Cook, Jack Cook, I think.
Jack Cook, there you go.
Yeah, and Bus is there, but he's not quite the owner yet. And he orders this fancy meal, right, Double A, and Magic is like, what is this or whatever, you know what I mean? And there's a moment, this man Rob Morgan, again playing Irvin Johnson's dad, Irvin Sr. There's these moments Double A where he's acting so much and not saying a damn thing.
Yeah.
Because the moment he's like, well, come on, boy, blah blah, and he's looking like he shoots his eyes. You know what I mean? Like this motherfucker. But then there's that great moment, right? Again, John C. Reilly coming in clutch, and then he's like, oh, you work for Chrysler? Yeah, I used to work doing this, whatever. In a field or whatever. Man, I never slept better. You're so tired afterwards. And he's like, I heard that. Like he's trying to like save it. Because this other owner asshole is ruining the thing with Magic, but he's saving it with the dad, Jerry Buss. John C. Reilly is Jerry Buss with Magic's dad. Then later they get back to the room, right? They offer him Magic $400,000, right?
Which was a huge amount. It was a huge amount back then.
I love that. There's so many scenes. I love the scene with him and Solomon Hughes later on as Kareem later on. Yes. But I love this scene first with him and Magic early in the early episodes where he says, you got $400,000 in one hand and nothing in the other. Mm-hmm. That's not a hard choice. And he tells him, get your head out of your ass. Yeah. Because Magic's like, well, I know I'm worth more. Like he knows what Larry got. You know what I mean? And he's like, I beat him. So you admire that, but at the same time, you see where the dad's coming from, where he's like, dude, I worked 2 jobs so you could play ball, so you could go to college. Like it's fucking so real, man. I loved his performance so much. Mm-hmm. I was like, this guy, Rob Morgan, is really great. And without me knowing, he was one of the interviews on the podcast. Like they picked random. Okay, I thought they were going to hit like all the big people, but he was one of the people. And it was such a funny thing because he says, I got into acting because I was chasing a girl and I only auditioned because, she was going to audition. And the movie was Contact.
Oh,
and he said he got it and she didn't.
Oh, damn.
So he's in Contact, whatever. And apparently a funny thing about him is like he has like a pet cat that he walks like on a leash or whatever. And everyone's like, yeah, we'd see you walking that pet cat around the set. But man, those scenes all of his scenes, I love them. I was like, this guy is so good. Yeah. And he's doing so much with his eyes. And he's the opposite of Magic, right? Where Magic's they show him smiling so much. Yep. And he's not because he's like fucking like, yo, man, like this shit is real. Like I worked hard. To get you here, it's really great.
Magic is just so confident in himself, in what he's worth and what he can do.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that.
That's always shown in Magic Johnson, just the confidence level. It's always up there.
Did you like Double A, this scene in I think it's episode 4, where, Magic's like, oh, when it's going to be me? It's going to be Magic. And it goes into that like animation.
Yes.
And it's almost like great. Fat Albert animation, right?
That was great. Yeah. I get my numbers too. And it's all these women giving him the hotel keys and everything.
And he's like, I'm a giver. And like shows him like going down on some chick or whatever. You're like, what the fuck? Like it's wild like that, But I gotta tell you, Double, as I'm going along in the show, again, it was so fun for me because I know none of these things. I know. I'm like, man, who did win in '80? I don't remember.
Yeah, for me, I already know like that whole decade because it just fascinated me. It just fascinated me how much one team in the West pretty much dominated the '80s, even if they didn't win all the titles. I mean, they went there 8 times.
Or what about the story of just like a rookie coach, a rookie owner, a rookie, you could say star.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's got to be super fucking rare.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
The whole episode that's called, like, who the fuck is Jack McKinney?
Yeah.
I was like, what? And I was going to,
And I kind of had to do my research on that, too, because I didn't know who Jack McKinney was. But when I looked up with him, Pat Riley and Paul Westhead have both said he's the creator of the Showtime Lakers.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a name I never heard. And by the way, I want to say his wife is played wonderfully from the gal from Mayor of Easttown.
Yes,
the friend, right?
Yes, the friend.
I kept watching,
trying to think who the hell
I know.
she was.
That's what I was watching. I was like, where do I know her? Because she is.
Yeah.
She does a lot of acting with her face too.
Yes.
Where I'm like, who is that? I love this comment from Joe. Joe says, "Sold me, Chuck." I told
he
you,
says
brother.
The only reason I haven't watched was I was trying to watch with the wife. Good luck, Joe.
You know what? You should watch it with your boy, man. Your oldest. I think that you guys might have a lot of moments, man. Really, I really do. It's really cool. And just as a sports guy, I know that basketball's not his sport, but I think as a sports guy, especially where he's about to be, I think you guys could get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I really, really do. And maybe you can pass him some good life lessons or whatever there too via like Irvin Senior. But go ahead, Double. You were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, who the hell is Jack McKinney? I was like, I don't remember his name ever being mentioned, but yeah, they've said he was a coach. He said in the episode he was with Portland with Dr. Jack Ramsey.
He was an assistant.
Yeah, he was an assistant with Jack Ramsey, who's another all-time great coach, legendary coach. He coached Portland's only championship season with Bill Walton. So I was kind of like, okay, who is this? So I looked him up. He only got to coach 13 games, but it was his system and the training camps that pretty much Paul Westhead just went with it. Paul Westhead came in and he became the coach, but he still implemented Jack McKinney's offense and his system.
So the accident that takes McKinney out was all real.
Yeah, it was real.
That was
it was
real.
a real bad, really traumatic incident.
Yeah,
bad.
That's crazy, and that's a really like the way the show plays out. It's kind of like one of those situations, right? Where like they say when they film reality TV, they film it every day, but then they only cut together the dramatic parts, and then the dramatic thing is at the end, even though they're like, oh well, this happened before that. Like what? That's all out of order. But they're like, well, that's to sell the show. Like as I'm watching this, I'm like, this seems like the drama would have had to unfold it in this order for real, and it did.
It did.
It's just one of those situations,
Yeah, so Paul Westhead, who is played by Jason Segel, and he does a great job.
Oh my
gosh! I've seen
gosh.
Paul Westhead, the real Paul Westhead, and he's not too far off from the way he looks.
And I'm a huge Jason Segel fan. My girlfriend is a huge Jason Segel. I love,
This was a different kind of Jason Segel that we saw.
Very nervous, very anxious.
No comedy. I can't think.
No
really.
Comedy. All I got from him was like pure anxiety, where I'm like, this guy does not want to be in this situation or whatever. In fact, they talk very little about his basketball acumen. He's kind of there as like a supporting
just
cast just an
assistant coach.
To Jack. And then, I mean, like, even though when he's in trouble, he's leaning on Pat for stuff. He's like, I need you. Like, I need you.
At this time, Paul, they're showing Paul and Jack getting the whole Lakers ready. I mean, he pretty much knows what to do. It's just that Jack is a coach. At the same time, they're showing Pat Riley's kind of like life too. At the same time, played by Adrian Brody. Pat Riley has been retired. He's not really doing anything. He's just kind of playing ball in the parks. He misses that feeling. He misses that, just being around basketball.
I love the introduction. Patrick James Riley on the screen. It's like you're like, oh shit.
And I was kind of confused too because I was like, man, did he really look like this? I was like, and sure enough, I looked it up. And he did look like.
It wasn't cool.
He wasn't slick back, nothing. Him and his wife, they're going through, but he's saying that he really needs to get back into some sort of basketball. He wants to be a color commentator. And he, they're like,
I think he wants to be anything.
Just
at
anything,
that point,
anything.
Which I have to imagine is a sucky feeling,
what's his name? Chick Hearn? I can't remember.
That's Chick Hearn, very famous. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's pretty much saying, Pat, you don't have a voice. You sound like, a homosexual. Yeah. Like that's pretty much what he tells me. You sound like a fairy.
Yeah.
You just don't have that basketball voice. But Pat Riley's like, just give me a chance. Let me do some tape. Let me show you, blah, blah, blah.
And those parts are rough, right?
They are, because I'm like, wow, he's talking to Pat Riley like that? Like, I've heard Pat Riley talk.
Yeah, and this guy's like, yeah, you're a fucking announcer, man.
Which they show Chick Hearn is kind of like, he drinks a lot and he does a lot of fucking backhanded compliments.
And Pat Riley is a champion. Like he won a ring. You know what I mean? And it's like, what the fuck? I love these comments from Joe. Joe says Celtics Lakers were great matchups. He says, throw it down, big fella. Oh my gosh, one of our favorite lines of just all of us guys hanging out. Joe, you would so fit right in with us in the old garage at Double A's old house. What's that one say? Double A. Sorry.
Freaking. They could have Riley in the Bulls show as well.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah,
but they're showing Riley. He's kind of coming up, and he does get the job. Eventually, he does become a color commentator until the accident happens with Jack McKinney, and Paul Westhead kind of goes to him. It's like, Pat, I really could use your help.
Yeah,
can he be an assistant coach? Pat's kind of like, man, I don't know, because if this thing doesn't work out,
I quit my job announcing or whatever.
Quit the job that I just got,
which
hired.
is going shitty for him, unfortunately.
It was, but still, it's kind of like he's around the game. He has a job. He's around the game.
Sure.
This might not be a permanent thing, but Paul's kind of like, I really need you, Pat. I really need you. He convinces him, and he becomes an assistant coach.
Which
to Paul Westhead.
We all know now. I know enough basketball lore to know, like, I'm like, who this man is and who he's going to become. So it's like, wow, you're seeing like the beginnings.
And
of
what's
that.
great though is like this shows like the chemistry between the two men and how they play off. Where Paul's trying to be like a really good coach, but Pat's the one that's getting them fired up most of the time, right, Sam?
Absolutely.
Is that the way you saw it? Kind of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it's two different dynamics, totally. One of the things I wanted to talk about real quick, Double A, that we might have like kind of glazed over is just like, early on, and we're not going episode by episode. We're just kind of talking about our general enjoyment of the show. We highly suggest you guys go watch it. HBO Max, Winning Time. Again, the rise of the Los Angeles Lakers. How about the character of Claire Rothman?
Oh, yes.
Wonderfully portrayed.
Yes,
Again,
it looks like she becomes a huge part of the Lakers franchise.
Yes.
Really helping with the...
Gabby Hoffman. And she plays Claire Rothman wonderfully. She's great.
She becomes a powerful member of the Lakers franchise. Just, kind of... She's the one that kind of gets all the numbers down. She's the one that kind of gets all the acts together. Outside of the Lakers, to play at the Forum.
Throughout Bus's kind of like initial year here, he's kind of leaning on her heavily. Like, hey, what's going on with the money? What's going on? And one of the cool things I like is that when he first meets her, he says, she brings in the drink cart, right? They're treating her like a coffee girl.
Like the women, from the 70s. Secretary.
Yeah, they even tell her like, hey, do a couple of buttons to make him like be interested or whatever, and she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
She does put her hair down, but she doesn't do that, And when she goes in, the first guy, which is Bus's like right hand man, right, the guy that's like his money guy, and the guy's like, oh, let me get a drink, honey, and he's like, get that one yourself, whatever. I know who this is. He's like, you're Claire Rothman. He talks to her, and he goes, you're the first person to put a musical act in an arena. They don't say who or whatever. So on the podcast, they reveal that story is true. The person that she first booked in the Forum was Aretha Franklin.
Oh, nice.
So very, very, very fucking cool, man. I loved that. I was like, oh shit, that's fucking badass. And that is a true story that she's the first person to book a musical act in an arena.
She just becomes a really important part, again, of the Laker franchise. Towards the end of the show, she gets a major promotion.
Yes,
major promotion.
I love that.
Which is unheard of. Probably around this time,
Which is a lot of cool things about, Dr. Jerry Buss, that the way they portray him in this anyway, Double A, right, is that, like, doesn't care about race, doesn't care about if you're male or female. He's like, I want to win. I want to have the best stuff.
Me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I got to make up this money that I've obviously put in.
Oh,
you know
shit.
What I mean? So,
wow, Joe, that just blew my mind. He said Gabby Hoffman was the little girl on Uncle Buck. Wow.
No shit. That is
Holy
very
shit.
That is her. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was just like,
she didn't change.
Holy shit.
Great fucking pull, Joe.
Bye, Steve.
Wonderful.
Have a good night, okay?
Okay, good night, Steve. We appreciate you being here, brother. Again, take care. Thoughts and prayers with you always, sir.
Wow, Joe. Damn, he just fucking...
I'm thinking of her fucking face.
I know,
right
and
now,
I can
I'm
see
like,
it.
oh my gosh, that is so her. And she's still wonderful. She's still wonderful. Double A, we didn't talk about this, but we're early on in the series, episode 2. We get to meet the great Red Auerbach.
Yeah, Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis. I felt like he was like, I was born for this role.
They kind of overdid the weight. He was never that big. Red Auerbach was a good sized guy. I mean, he was never that big. So I don't know why. They kind of exaggerated. I think Chiklis on his normal weight would look like Red Auerbach, just his normal size.
They could have trimmed him down.
Yeah. I don't know why they drew him
puffing the cigar. It's they do such a good job, right? Of just being like, man, these are the rivals. These are the guys.
And who knows? Maybe that's the way Red was. He had every right to be arrogant. He was by that point arguably the greatest coach the NBA had ever seen.
He tells him, right? He does. I'll do anything. I'll cut your heart out to have one more banner in the rafters. Like I'm like, fucking
this man
shit.
This man won 8 straight.
Yeah.
8 straight NBA titles.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
I mean I think it's portrayed very well. I liked Michael Chiklis so much as Red Auerbach.
It was funny. Me and my friend were talking about the scene in the Boston Garden where he gives a gift to Dr. Jerry Buss. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of laughed hard when I first saw that because this was kind of like the attitude back then.
Yeah.
You kind of did shit like this and you didn't feel sorry about what you did.
Right.
It was kind of like a fuck you. They're playing Boston like in December and he invites Jerry Buss to come. And I don't know, he gives him some shitty seats, like real shit seats. And he has one of the ushers kind of bring him up a gift. And it's like a fucking rotting onion. And he's like, what's this? And he's like, it's a vegetable, just like your coach is. I was like, man.
So this is obviously after Jack McKinney.
After he's had his accident.
And he's in the hospital, like, in a vegetative state. So you're like, whoo.
Yeah, I was like oh,
fuck, man.
And then they show Ray with the cigar, like.
Yeah, like, he's up in his high seats, and he's like, yeah, you ain't sitting down here at the fucking garden. And you're like, fuck. But, again, these guys were the kings.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like when he walks into the forum, he's like, yeah, I haven't been here since we beat you.
Yeah.
A long time ago. He's like, I remember you guys had the balloons up, Cook had the balloons, and
I wasn't having that.
He goes, the hot air stayed up there.
So, Double A, let me ask you real quick. I want to rewind a little bit.
Joe says, oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, yeah, it's fucked up. Double A, again, this is my moment to have one of my, is this real moment, or what was real? So they very quickly kind of glaze over the fact that, Jerry West did win one.
Yes.
Right? Just one. And who is it against? Not the Celtics.
It was not against the Celtics. Who the hell did they beat? Was it New York? It might have been New York. It was like the second championship ring for Wilt Chamberlain as well, but it wasn't Boston.
And they make no mention of Wilt.
No, they don't.
In this. No. So I mean, it's very interesting.
But they do mention Elgin Baylor. If you remember, they're looking for the coach, and
that's right.
Elgin Baylor was a huge part of the Lakers for Jerry West.
Speaking of that, I have this written down because I did not know any of this. What I know about this man is that he one time coached the Spurs. Tark the fucking Shark.
Yes.
I didn't know that this guy was a fucking Vegas mafioso.
Mob
time motherfucker.
Yeah, I was kind of like, what the hell?
And I'm like, we let this guy come to San Antonio? Like, what the fuck?
He was a legend, though. He was a legendary coach.
They pretty much imply in this show, and again, it's a show, but they pretty much imply, he did not go to L.A. because the mob was like, you're not going nowhere.
Yeah, it was against the Knicks. Jerry West beat the Knicks.
There you go. Okay, nice.
Which were a tough team in the 70s. They won 2 titles in the 70s.
I was trying to think who was on
they were a tough team.
Those early Knicks.
Walt Clyde Frazier, Earl the
Pearl, right?
Willis Reed.
Yeah. Damn, that's a tight squad right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a little moment in here where they're talking about, the Lakers getting Tark the Shark from UNLV.
And if you don't know him, he's always a coach that is fighting the towel. Always.
And again, he coached the Spurs, and I'm just like, oh shit, Tark the Shark. And I'm like, what was this real? I'm having was this real moment? Like, I'm like, damn, I need to call, Double A and Boy. And it pretty much the mob, it's kind of like, you ain't going nowhere. Like, we like betting on your games and betting on you and all your shit, and that you're not going nowhere. So that ends pretty quickly or whatever. But what I know in actuality is that when did he coach us? Double A Tark.
Actually, Joe says that. Jerry Tarkanian it was crazy that he coached here after his UNLV run. So
Yeah. But he still came to the NBA here in San Antonio. So, without actually saying it, there's a little bit of ties.
I mean, look, Buzz didn't have that much time. Jerry West kind of screwed them up in the show. In the show, it kind of looks like Jerry West kind of screwed him over with the coaching situation. And he was just trying to look for the best coach he could. There was not a lot of options. It's about a few weeks before training camp, and a little bit before the playoff. I mean, not the playoff games, the regular season. He was trying to look for anyone. He was available. He had a lot of scandals. Apparently, it shows in the show. Maybe him bribing some players to come play for UNLV. I don't know if that's true or not. So he had a lot of scandals behind him, but yeah, just like CM said, they pretty much said no. He's not going anywhere. And that's when he kind of just finds Jack McKinney, and that's how Jack McKinney got the role of the coach. I guess he did a good interview. He brings in Paul Westhead, and they start running the Showtime offense. He wants a faster pace. He makes them do, runs, like crazy. He wants them to get physically in better shape than the other teams. So Jack McKinney ended up being probably the best option. I don't know. Jerry could have taken him to an NBA Finals. Maybe he could have. I don't know. NBA is different than college. We've seen a lot of college coachings not make it very well in the NFL or NBA. And they usually go back. So perfect point guard to run it. Yeah, he was. Magic was the perfect. Him and Norm Nixon, Joe. It looks like they kind of switch off point guard. I don't know who was the point guard most of the time. Norm Nixon had that job down. It shows in the show. Maybe Magic played shooting every now and then. Norm maybe had played point. Maybe it was the opposite sometimes. Jerry never made it away from UNLV. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Maybe it was the best option that he didn't get him after all. So,
sorry guys, thank y'all for allowing me the levity there to have a bathroom break. One of the things that they were saying on the podcast also that I heard, the companion podcast, was that Magic was a true 6'9".
Yes.
Kareem,
yes.
7'2".
Yes.
Obviously, not all these guys are the actual heights or whatever. So they were like, how do they do things to make them look taller?
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Joe says, who's the dude that Magic plays in the party? That is Norm Nixon. Joe, that's the one I was telling you that he kind of had the job as point guard. Yeah. And he felt threatened when Magic came in because he's like, why are you guys drafting a point guard for?
Right.
I'm already here.
And another cool thing about that, Joe, like we said earlier, is that actor that's playing Norm Nixon is being played by his son, his real life son, Devon Nixon.
Yeah.
He gets to play his dad, kind of like the Ice Cube thing and O'Shea Jackson thing. Yeah. O'Shea gets to play his dad. So, but what they were saying in the podcast was that they use a lot of platform shoes to make certain guys look taller.
So because it's going to be hard to find.
Right,
people that size,
and that you are a good actor. And you've got to be like a double.
Yeah, because as good as like Quincy was, like they really never show him playing like basketball. Have you never noticed that? Really?
Yes.
They never really show the games too much.
Right. One of the things I wanted to talk about, we kind of talked a little bit about Jason Segel playing Paul Westhead or whatever. But one of the things Paul Westhead, and we kind of, anyone here that's probably watching still here, so we know a little bit of what's going to happen in our own minds because we know the man that Pat Riley becomes, which doesn't, leave Paul Westhead a lot. Yeah. But one of the cool things about him, distinctions that I learned, was that he is, I think, the only person to ever have won an NBA title and a WNBA title.
That's right. That's right. He made the transition over there.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty cool distinction.
It's cool. It's just he never had much success after the Laker run.
Yeah, I dug him. I liked the Shakespeare stuff and him quoting, once more into the breach.
Yeah.
My friend.
And then you got Adrian Brody, Pat Riley, like, let's fucking kick their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah.
Which that probably makes a lot more sense to them. You know what I mean? So you can't go quoting Shakespeare necessarily all the time.
Because they always show the player's face is like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah, Joe says a 6'9" point guard. Yeah, and again, early on, that's one of Jerry West's problems. He's like, the ball has to travel further when he's dribbling from his, I guess, from the floor to his knee or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, it's more easy to, like, I guess, get steals on him and all that or whatever. But of course, nobody moved the ball like Magic.
No, nobody did. Golly,
it truly was Magic,
yeah.
and they start to display that right when he in practice. He's doing these passes,
no-look passes, yeah,
and
which no one is expecting, and
no one's expecting.
They're like, "Hey, Rook, what the fuck you doing?" You know,
right? He's like, "Oh, you didn't see my eyes," and I mean, I think Magic thought was like, "If I see your eyes, the other guys see your eyes, so I'm gonna give it to you when there's no eyes on you," you know. And I like McKinney's approach to pretty much what you call it, like fast break basketball, double A.
Yes,
I mean,
fast break.
It pretty much is like push.
Yes.
You know, he's like, no, there's that's not your section. You know, you just keep moving or whatever.
You have no
movement.
section.
Yes. I like that.
Yes.
I like that a lot. You know, and the guys, of course, they're tired. They're like, we can't do this. And it's funny because when you watch like old NBA videos, like really old shit, like they're kind of like bouncing the ball around slowly, and they're like, you know, moving in these kind of like what seems like patterns. It almost looks like synchronized swimming. Yes. Versus like obviously the game that we have today where it's like, I mean, it's just so fast, which is one of the things I love the most about basketball is the speed of it. It's like, man, it's like, you know, it's just going and going and going. It's nonstop, you know, and like a game can change leads 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a quarter. I don't know if another sport does that. Double A,
no,
you know, I mean,
no, not that quick.
I think I hit all my like note stuff that I wanted to talk about. You know, so Spencer Haywood, played by Wood Harris.
Yes.
If you know Wood Harris, remember the Titans. He's the lead, like, you know, the big black guy that's opposite the big white guy in that movie or whatever. And he is amazing.
And he plays the trainer in Creed Part 2.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. But man, how about in this? How they make him? You know, they show his
Haywood
addiction.
Was pretty rough. Yeah, it was pretty rough seeing a guy like that.
And dang, Double A, like when they show these guys like sweating and stuff, and like they're in the moment, you're like, "Fuck, I feel it." Like,
it
man,
looks
like,
nasty.
They look like they're like
really nasty.
They can't break out, man. Yeah. Like, the shit is portrayed really, really well, and Wood Harris is absolutely fantastic. Again, in one of the interviews in the podcast is Dr. Solomon Harris, who plays Kareem. And he said, man, when I heard that I was going to get to have these scenes and moments with Wood Harris, he goes, I was like beside myself. And he said, man, the guy is just so great.
They're great scenes.
Such a
Those
great
scenes
actor.
are great between Kareem and Spencer.
Wonderful. And can you imagine this, Double A? You're acting. Imagine you're going in there with De Niro, and you have to play the guy that's smarter than De Niro.
Yeah.
You got to play De Niro's boss.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's been acting forever and is the boss of acting.
Yeah.
And now you've got to play his. This is what, you know, this Dr. Solomon Hughes was doing. He's got to play Kareem, that's the cap, over this junkie, this guy Wood Harris. And Wood Harris, who's been acting for forever and knows acting. And he said, oh, man, all the credit to him because he helped me so much through those scenes. And he helped me, you know, be, like, confident and be,
I mean, you know, and you had to because...
And it's got to be believable.
The way they portray Kareem is that, you know, he's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
a
leader.
Big time.
Like everybody looks up to
he's the man.
The captain. You know, that was his name. You know, the captain. You know, it was almost Godfather like in the locker room with this dude. You know, Kareem had been there for so long. He knows what's up. He's an old school dude. You know,
well, rightfully so. And then not only that, but it's like who he is.
Yeah.
And what he can do on the court that you've seen. That one scene where he's like, that's a skyhook, like, and you're like, you know. And what does McKinney tell him? That'll always be there for you. Yeah. You're always going to have that. Yeah. He's like, kind of create these other opportunities for other guys. And that's kind of hard, right, to take a secondary role. That's kind of what Dave had to do for Tim. Right.
Something that you're not used to. But then when he opens up, though, the Lakers really become a dangerous team.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerous.
Oh, yeah. And that's, I think, another reason, Joe, why I think that was, again, you know, I'm biased as a Spurs fan, but I think that it would be great because here you have a great player, like a top 50 player like Dave, that is quickly and easily gives the reins over to this Rook. Yeah. Like, okay, now the offense runs through Tim.
Yep.
It's not about me. There's no ego there.
No, there was none.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's an
It was
amazing
great.
story.
No, it was
you know
great.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Dave was like, I'll take care of the defense. You take care of the offense.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely, and not that Tim didn't play D because he certainly did. You know what I mean?
No, but Dave was just that much better at defense. Trust
Right.
me, he was way,
Right.
way better. Than, when people were trying to go up to get a layup or a dunk and David would come in, they turned their ass around.
Yeah. Joe says, imagine Bus buying it.
For that compared to what they are worth
Oh
now.
my gosh!
But
I
again,
know.
you can credit that to Bus again of how much they're worth.
Yeah.
Because he drove the team up. You know, he got them the players they needed. You know, he always made it seem like an event at LA.
The Laker girls. I mean, that's something that they talk about in this show too.
That was
I mean,
great too.
They cast.
I didn't know
as,
that they were a big part of that. I did not know that either.
Right. They cast someone to play, a young Paula Abdul, the first Laker girl, and that whole aspect. They talk about him opening the Forum Club and how he wanted celebrities there. They cast someone as a young Jack Nicholson being a fan. And when obviously, Hollywood stars living in LA. I mean, it's right there. It goes hand in hand, and how Bus capitalized on that. He made them part of the LA culture, scene, nightlife. Like, it was a cool thing. Because he says it in the very beginning. He's like, the NBA wasn't cool back then.
And it wasn't. And this show isn't the first time I've seen it. I've seen it on actual NBA tapes where it says the 70s were just abysmal. Yeah. It's terrible for the NBA at this time. I mean, it was just...
They thought it was going to fold, right?
Yeah, nobody was coming to the games. You see some of the footage in some of these games, and it's embarrassing. It's bad. It's like, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
It looks like a graduation or a football game for a high school team, It just looks terrible.
Which is interesting because we kind of talked about this a little bit, right? Double A in our 75th about, like, sometimes the two guys that get compared for what they did for basketball sometimes is Jordan and Iverson. Because they're like, oh, like basketball culture, basketball style and all that comes from Iverson. And I always think it's interesting because to me, I still think it's Jordan or whatever. Because again, we're talking about how much Bus and the Lakers did for the NBA, maybe with like, in that era in the 80s. But in like the more TV heavy era, in the Jordan years, it is Jordan that really... like we say, I mean, like, people talk about, oh, when you shoot the ball, you don't say, you're always like, you don't say LeBron, you're like Kobe. And I'm like, what's funny is that people forget that are like, well, that's what you say now, but you used to say Jordan when you're shooting it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the brand being on everything, the Jordan shoes, I mean, like, the whole thing is like, it's King Michael, you know what I mean?
Joe brings up a really good point here. He says, bro, the NBA Finals were taped at one point. That's how much no one was seeing it. The highest rated game was the college game between Magic and Bird. The college game was the highest rated basketball game
because it was
not even the
best
finals
facing off. Yeah, that's
the NBA
interesting.
Finals.
Yeah. Amy in the house says, yo, Amy in the house, swish on them fools. She says, MJ all the way. Love it, sis. A very
but it was true in the
broad statement regarding basketball.
And they kind of show like David Stern later on, kind of like
he's pretty prominent, right?
Yes,
they have someone cast as David Stern.
You can already tell he has a plan going. We got Bird on the East. We got you guys on the West. We kind of want to show you guys more. Amy says, what's your T-shirt? Oh, it's Wolverine and Cap.
Great tee. Love that tee. I complimented him twice already. I was like,
Wolverine and Cap.
If anybody wants to buy me a Christmas gift, there you go. But yes, great T-shirt. Double A.
Yeah, so Stern already kind of saw. He was like, you know what? This is, and they mention it too on that clip too, that, when they win the title, they say what a great year it was for the NBA. It was a huge success. The NBA Finals, like the greatest we've ever seen.
Yes.
So they're already seeing, okay, we can do a lot with Magic and the Lakers.
Yeah.
And if we feature Larry more and the Celtics, whoa, we can get the NBA going. We can rev it up a little bit more.
I mean, you got to think about it, right, Double A? It's almost like, you're asking yourself to be in the running in professional sports with MLB, the NFL.
Which at that time, baseball was huge.
Right.
Maybe bigger than basketball.
Yeah.
It probably was.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine maybe even bigger than football, I would imagine. I don't know, but maybe.
Maybe it was. I don't know, but man, it kind of plants the seeds where Stern is kind of like, he's seeing what it can be, what we can do to get this out of our rut.
Yes.
The guy, I don't know his name, maybe Sam can help me. The guy who plays Larry Bird.
Oh, I don't have his. Let me
He
get it
does
real
a
quick.
great job.
That guy's fucking fantastic.
He just talks shit throughout the time that he has his scenery, and there's like a scene at the end. You remember seeing him when he's at home
Yes.
watching the finals, and like I'm guessing his brother, that was supposed to be his brother, but he's making some like racist jokes.
Yes.
And Bird tells him, he goes, "Shut the fuck up."
He's
He goes,
there.
He's there.
I'm not.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And after Magic wins, what did he show Bird doing? After Magic wins the title,
He goes out to start
he goes
shooting
outside and
and
he
starts
starts
shooting.
practicing.
The guy's name is Sean Patrick Small.
He does a great job. I mean, they make him look like a real hick all the way through.
But he's also like, there's no racism in him. It's all about
winning.
fucking sport. I like when he goes to eat with the fucking owners. He's like, you got Budweiser, like they, the guy who orders his drink. He orders a fucking beer.
Beer.
The basicest ass beer. Basic bitch beer.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. And Double A, like, I was loving this show, but I think it's in episode 6, that game they play the Celtics, right? And man, that's when I was like, oh my, that's when like I felt basketball like come back alive in me. When he's like, all right, I'm gonna shoot someone right now, 12 feet, watch.
Yeah.
And he's telling the guys on the court, and they're like, fuck, man, we can't guard this guy. And he's just burning. He's like, shit, I was wrong. That was 13 feet.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, that's like so Larry, right?
Yes.
That's like the Larry that we all talk about, us guys, that we're like, the motherfucker was true ice in the veins, true just competitiveness. Like, it's fucking badass. When everybody watched fucking The Last Dance, and we heard Jordan saying all that stuff, and where you were like, that motherfucker was so cold, like nothing meant nothing to him except competition.
Yeah.
That is also like Larry Bird.
Yes.
That's what this show gives you, where you're like...
And you can tell there was a level of respect that Michael had in The Last Dance whenever he was talking about Larry Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Because he never beat Larry Bird, ever.
Man.
That
you're on the East together, right?
It was a big thrill when he beat the Indiana Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he felt like, hey, I beat you in some way. And then Larry makes a comment, and Michael's kind of like flabbergasted, right? He's kind of like, fuck you, like...
Yeah, what's Larry's comment?
I forgot what it was, but he tells something to Michael, and Michael's kind of like stunned,
yeah.
Hey, you fucking asshole. Like, fuck you.
I mean,
like,
right
there's
there.
like a level of respect that you can see. Like, Michael is trying to attain that kind of status that Larry Bird has.
And that's what's missing.
I mean, and you just hearing the
NBA
stories
today.
more and more. You're just hearing the stories of Larry Bird trash talking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to shoot it from here. Oh, I'm going to score 50 points on you guys with my left hand. And, the 3-point contest, who's playing for second? It's kind of like, damn, like, this guy is just talking shit all the time.
I mean, and that's fucking
And again,
great.
you need to watch it. It's on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. It's Magic Bird, Courtship of Rivals. There's a scene where he has a last-second shot to beat the Lakers. And Pat Riley's, like, narrating. He's like, I'm seeing it. It's right there. He misses the shot, but he goes, that Larry looks at him. And he gives him that look like, how the hell can you leave me that open? And you can tell Pat Riley was like shitting his pants, but he was like, yeah.
Dude, I remember the old video game, Double A. It was Jordan versus Bird. There was a fucking video game of it. Like, that was the game you played. Like,
because Bird was considered the best player. He won the MVP 3 times in a row at one point. He was considered the greatest at
That's
that time.
insane. I mean, Bird, in our circle... You guys, or your two brothers are some of the biggest sports heads I know. You guys know your shit. You know your stats. You know all that stuff, and you guys have the utmost respect for Bird. I think he's a fucking badass.
The footage is there.
Yeah,
so watch for yourselves.
Undeniable.
The footage is there. He went to the finals a shitload of times himself. Mm-hmm. He went 5 times, 4 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Won 3 of them. So I mean,
the guy's got hardware. Yeah, for sure.
He's a beast.
I mean, always a top 50.
He shut down Detroit for a good while. He shut down Chicago. He shut down Atlanta with Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah.
I mean, he shut down Philadelphia with 76ers. I mean, with Dr. J. I mean.
Yeah. It's interesting, the parts in the podcast that they talk about him, they're saying, like, to a lot of people, again, even though that, it's the 80s, but it still was a thing of the time, he was like the Great White Hope.
Yes, which... He always hated that. He's come out so many times saying
of course.
I'm just playing basketball. I'm not trying to make a difference here. I'm trying to play.
Right. Exactly.
And there's a clip that they show too in that Courtship of Rivals, where it's like the '87 finals.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Magic is just the greatest. He's the greatest player that's ever lived. You know, and he just like makes that announcement like where you just can't believe what he just saw. He's like, he's just unbelievable. You know, he's saying
Doesn't
it
he
right
have
there.
a really good quote about Michael too? He has a really good quote about Jordan, like one of the best
Something like
Jordan
God
quotes.
or something like I saw God play tonight. He's wearing number 23.
I mean, like that's more like Larry. Like, oh, like fuck, dude. Like, dude, I have a Tim Duncan jersey on right now. I have a Ginobili jersey at my house, and I have a Michael Jordan jersey at my house. I'm like, but I would have no problem at all with owning and rocking that green 33, because that motherfucker was a bad man, and we unanimously all agree about that. I mean, he just was. We talk about his 3-pointers, but it wasn't just that, right? There was so much more, right?
He was pulling down 10 rebounds a game. He was giving about 6 or 7 assists a game. I mean, God,
this is one of those guys. It just felt like almost when we've seen like when Curry's in the mix, and you're like, he's just not missing no more. When Reggie would get in that mix, when you're like, he's just not missing anymore. It was like everything. There were times when I would watch those guys play, and I'd be like, everything they throw up goes in. Everything they throw up goes in. That's what Larry was. Everything he threw up went in. They were like,
and he was just a practice machine. Him and Magic,
man, like,
they would push themselves.
Yeah.
Like there's a great quote that Magic says. He goes, you know, Larry's probably over there getting 300 shots in. I got to make 400 shots. And he's probably over there making 500. I got to make 600. You know? They're checking each other's stats on the paper. What did Magic do? What did Larry do? They're checking each other's to see what the hell they're doing.
Sadly, today's players see that and they're like, "Oh, how do I recruit that guy?"
Yeah.
That's the shit part of today, man.
Yeah.
That is such the shit part. I don't mean to bring it down because we're having a great talk right now about that, but man, that's what blows because it used to be you wanted to compete against that guy.
Yeah. You wanted to play the best. You didn't want to be together.
Now you don't. Nowadays they want that guy so they have an easier path. It's like, what kind of shit is that? You know, everyone's all for working smarter, not harder. But I mean, like, and when your whole job is just competition, it's kind of like, well, fuck, don't you want a little bit of like competition? Let's see here, Double A. Help me out if I'm missing any of these comments.
Yeah, he goes, the day Larry Bird said, it's just God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Yes, that's great right there.
Let me see. Joe says Lakers versus Celtics.
Let me see.
Was a video game at one point too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one.
And then Joe says baseball so long is America's pastime, but has since passed.
No.
Baseball is a huge part. Huge.
Yeah.
Bird was a bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Bird getting upset. A white dude was guarding him. And then he mentions their big three, Bird, Parrish, McHale.
Yeah, those three.
And then he says one of his favorite parts of the Dream Team doc was MJ telling Bird and Magic there's a new sheriff in town.
Yes, I love that. That's when like Magic kind of leans on Bird. He's like, "Don't get too close to Michael."
Yeah, it'll be a foul.
They'll call a foul. Yeah. I love that. Like, I saw the scenes. Yeah. Man, I need to watch that shit, man.
You do. You really do.
When it comes to docs like that, Double A, right? You just watch it over.
Man.
I always remember when like
it's the best players. It's like Joe said. It's the best players, and they all still want to, like, this is their chance to play each other, 5-on-5.
Yeah.
10 of the greatest players in the world are playing each other, and, man, you can feel the intensity.
Absolutely.
You can really feel it. Like holy shit, they want to go at it.
Double A, who do you put on that squad? Do you take Chris Mullin off?
Yes.
And who do you put? You put Isaiah on?
Well, first off, I take off Scottie Pippen, I put Dominique.
Oof,
we got to have the human highlight film.
Man, all the way around that. Jam.
I know MJ didn't like him, but Stockton, I would take him out and put Isaiah.
That's fire too. I like that too.
The two best point guards.
I like that too. I like that a lot actually. Yeah.
Leitner, I would take Leitner out and put Shaq. If I had to do to college, I'd have to put Shaq there.
This is called like the dreamier team.
Yeah, big time. I mean, can you imagine Dominique being there?
Oh man.
Instead of Pippen.
Oh man.
I mean, come on. The dude is averaging 26 points.
Those guys were just so hungry for the big stage, right? Double A, and like while they never got rings, they might have got that. You know what
Joe
I mean?
says no way Scotty stays really over Dominique. Joe, man, Dominique was a fucking beast.
Total beast, man. Go watch that slam dunk contest with him and MJ, where you're kind of like,
and not just that, but
you're like, damn, did he win?
His duel with Larry Bird.
Oh yeah.
He has a famous duel against Larry Bird.
I need to see some of that shit right there, man. I'm telling you, this is the basketball that makes me fucking like smile. Like my cheeks hurt from smiling like tonight because I'm just like, dude, it's like so much fun. It's like such,
Yeah.
it was like such a better time for the game, man. And that's what I love about fucking hoops, you know. And this show, Winning Time, again, HBO Max, man. Again, kudos for putting on a great thing. And again, about a team that I fucking absolutely despise and loathe. If you ask me what my number one hated team in basketball was, it would probably be these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's very interesting. Again, but the Showtime Lakers, everyone loved them. You got to think about of the time.
Yeah,
You know,
and
of
then
the time.
they kind of mentioned too the rookie vote. It was like 63-3, Larry
Yes.
to Magic, and sometimes I wonder. I was like, maybe racing was there, maybe,
Oh yeah.
or maybe because Boston was like they had only won 20 games the previous year, and Larry did like the single greatest turnaround until David did it, until David broke it with the Spurs.
Nice.
So the Celtics were terrible, and he turned them around into like a major powerhouse team in the East.
Interesting.
I'm guessing
I didn't know that fact about Dave. That's pretty great.
I'm guessing the reason they probably didn't give it was because I don't know if you remember, they said on the show Kareem had won the MVP that year.
Right.
So it's
right,
kind of
right,
hard
right.
to give a rookie of the year probably to someone that has the MVP on the team, don't you think?
Yeah.
Maybe he deserved more votes for a rookie of the year. Maybe they just saw that Larry was more important to the Celtics than Magic was because he had Kareem.
Sure.
That's the only way
sure.
I'm thinking that maybe that's why the voting was so lopsided because he had the MVP.
And who
He had the
votes on
greatest
that?
player.
Is
Sports
that the
writers.
Associated Press?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
But still, it's
okay.
kind of like, again, you had Kareem there. It's not like it was a big stretch for Magic to turn around the Lakers. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had the MVP there.
But then there's that opposite moment, right? When we have the Finals MVP.
Yes, that had always confused me. Even before this show, I was always like, wow, why did Magic win? Because of this one game. He had this one game. I thought the Finals MVP was supposed to
Like who
be
in
the
series
whole,
helped out.
which Kareem by far had the way better stats.
Sure.
He carried that title pretty much. I think Kareem was averaging like over 30 points
Shit.
against the Sixers, like 15 rebounds and like 3 blocks. I mean, he should have by far should
That's
have
fucking
won.
Pretty beast mode.
He really should have won that Finals MVP. So he got kind of screwed out of that Finals
Yeah.
MVP, which I didn't know until the show came on that it was kind of like David Stern's idea.
Ah, there
You know
he is. He
that-
rears his head.
Kareem's not here. You're here. You're the man of the moment. I want you to win the MVP. It was kind of like, huh? He's like, I had never heard of that. It was a great game.
Mhm.
It was a really good game.
42 points, right? And
15 rebounds, 7
Oh,
assists.
15 rebounds. Oh, that's an amazing
But
game.
but what they never say, and I was kind of hoping it would say here, Jamal Wilkes was another powerhouse player for the Lakers. He scored 37 points that night as well.
No shit.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't just like the Magic show. Jamal Wilkes did kick in 37 points too with
Is
them.
he casted in the show?
Yes,
Is it?
he's number 52.
Okay.
They show him quite a bit. If you see it
Okay.
again, you would know him. He was kind of like the light skinned dude,
okay.
but he
okay.
was there. He was a big part of it. So
Nice.
yeah. So I don't know. It seemed like I didn't know that was all the politics was kind of behind Magic winning
Yeah.
the Finals MVP.
It did make sense that, from Stern that you would want someone that's there to receive this
Sure,
award.
but it did kind of
you
seem
know.
like a slap to the face of Kareem
Yeah, I do.
because he could have been the MVP and the Finals MVP that year. You know.
Shit, that's fire. Yeah, that would have been really dope. What have we got in the comments?
Joe says, "No way, Scotty stays." Joe says, "Dude heard recently that it was Magic keeping Isaiah off.
Oh,
Maybe it was. They really had no love at all for the Detroit Pistons. I'm even surprised they were okay with Chuck Daly. And that Dream Team doc, though, they make it seem like it was Michael.
yeah.
That was like if Isaiah's on the team,
That's
not.
kind of the commonly accepted reason why.
And
he
they kind of
was
showed
there.
on that Dream Team doc. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Then Joe says, "Dude, I love Dominique. I was a little upset when we let him go so Tim could wear 21. That was like my brother's favorite player, so it was kind of like it was like a dream come true for him to play in San Antonio.
I remember that. I remember being like, "Oh wow, like boys, guys coming here or whatever."
And then Joe says, "I don't remember this part, but he goes, fuck no, I hate the Mavs and Rockets more. I don't remember what we said there."
That I hate the Lakers the most.
Oh, okay.
NBA.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta go with
D'Jo. They're up there.
I gotta go with D'Jo. Dallas probably for me more than the Rockets. Man, the Dirk years. God,
yeah, they could be interchangeable for me.
And then Joe says Spurs essentially had 2 first-round picks, David's rookie year with him and Sean. Coming off big college game and Sports Illustrated cover. Yeah. I mean, it was just a really good show. It showed they gel. They end up going like 60-22 that year with Pat Riley and Paul Westhead. They beat the 76ers, who were a powerhouse in the early 80s with Dr. J. Dr. J took the 76ers to the finals in 77, 80, 82, and 83. So they were like the first powerhouse of the 80s for the East.
I love his introduction in the show, right?
I just don't like that. It's a great introduction. I just don't like the actor they put.
Yeah.
Because Dr. J, if you see him in 1980, the dude is trimmed.
Yeah.
He fucking has his head shaved.
The guy looks a little too old, right?
And he's dunking all over everybody.
Shit, I saw a picture of Dr. J not that long ago, and I was like,
he still looks good, right?
Except for the hair is gray.
It's great, but Dr. J was... Yeah. At this point, he was like the Michael Jordan of this era. He was just the most exciting NBA player.
Maybe they were trying to portray Double A that it's a guy on his way
wiser, but he doesn't even retire until like 86 or 87.
Yes, that's interesting too. You know what I mean? So
I said, Dr. J never looked like the way he did with this actor playing.
Right. But besides that, though, like the introduction, the respect,
it's good. You feel the presence. Like Dr. J was big time.
And as much as that the show kind of builds you thinking like, man, you want Larry and Magic or whatever, when you get Larry and you get Magic and Dr. J, you're kind of excited because Magic specifically says like, I had your poster on my wall. Like, this is my guy.
Yeah,
so you're getting to face your rival,
and they don't really show
your hero.
They really don't show it either. But apparently, like in his rookie season, that Dr. J had him over his house.
Yeah,
and had him stay with him too. So he got to stay with Dr. J a few times.
That's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean it was the greatest player, not the greatest, the most popular player in the league. Again, he was like Michael Jordan. This guy was just dunking over 7-footers like nothing. Yeah. You know, I mean he was just dominating.
I just love the intro, man. I thought they did.
It was great. That was great. It made me feel big.
Like Dr. J, like you're like, oh shit.
And like I said, he was like Magic's first big rival. He played in 3 finals against the dude. You know,
that's fucking awesome. Yeah, man. I love it. I love that how it builds those type of things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And then after that, that's when he moves to Bird.
Right.
You know, so it was kind of like he had to go through Dr. J and then Bird. You know,
which is cool because it's like one is my hero and one is like my
ultimate
old
rival. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So you love that, and that's what the great drama that these writers spin in this show.
And again, it just makes you feel excited about basketball. Like this was a time it was kind of like, ooh, the 76ers and the Lakers are playing. Like holy shit, you know, or Boston. That was a big game to play Boston.
I mean, I told you I watched this show to the end, not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah,
I didn't know, and I didn't look anything up.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Google. I was like, wow, and man, it made it so much more fun and enjoyable for me to not know. Like, oh, I don't know who did they win in 80? Did they? I didn't know anything, and so for me watching it, I was like, man, this fucking is great. It's great to kind of not know things, whatever not knowing the coaching. Of course, there are a couple of things that I do know because I just know enough to know that, obviously, who becomes the coach and things like that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, it's like, it was a mystery to me. Yeah. I thought that was great. I thought it was really great. I highly, highly suggest it. I cannot personally recommend it more. If you have HBO Max, go watch Winning Time. If you don't,
it's like you said, I've been trying to recommend this show like for a few months already.
Yeah, exactly. Double A has mentioned it. He's posted it in the Friday Night Faithful group. And
again, it's just really forget if you don't like the Lakers or not. It's just a really good sports doc. It's really cool. So watch it, check it out. It's on HBO Max. You can stream all 10.
Yeah, super, super, super fun show. Again, I think even a not at all basketball fan could watch it and love it. I mean, I would show it to my sister. I would show it to Jess. I think they would both get enjoyment out of it. Be like, oh,
I think they would.
It creates interest in you. Yeah. It makes you want to look things up. Makes you want to know more about it. So my hat is off totally to the creators. They did a wonderful job, and I'm so glad to hear there's going to be a season 2.
Yeah, I was too. I was kind of like, cool. I'm hoping they do the whole 11, 12 seasons that Magic played.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm hoping they do it. So.
And then eventually, again, you can do losing time, the fall of the Lakers with LeBron. I had that joke for a long time, so I'm going to get that out twice. So
Joe says I'm checking out.
You're checking out. Oh, okay, Joe. We appreciate you being here. If you're checking out,
I think we are later. Too, anyways.
Yeah, I think we're checking out too. Double A. Anything else that you want to say about the fantastic?
No, just watch it. Just check it out. It's on HBO Max. All 10 episodes are there.
If we're wrong, let us know. But I think that you will thoroughly enjoy it. If you're a non-sports fan, if you're a casual TV watcher, if you're anything at all, if you're just looking for something to watch, you're like, man, I binged all my favorite stuff already. I'm caught up on everything. I'm waiting for Obi-Wan. I want something to binge in a week. I like to go home after work every day. I just put on 2 or 3 hours of any program. Watch this in like 4 nights or 3 nights, and I promise you'll be like, what a great show. I'm so glad I watched that. Again, I called it in the intro, this is the Ted Lasso of this year. Again, not the same kind of heart, a different feeling, a different vibe, but again, it does have heart, and I think it's going to get all the Emmys. I really do, Double A.
If it gets nominated, it should win.
It absolutely should get nominated, and I think that it absolutely will.
Joe says, do you think they'll do a Celtics too? Probably not.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to approach this like winning time thing or whatever. I think it all depends on who do you get involved to do it, because the showrunners on this are pretty much like big time Lakers fans, and that's why they wanted to do it. And they're doing a season 2, so I imagine you keep the same actors and you keep the same story going. Or
you would hope so. And then Joe says, no, I have the show queued up, and as soon as y'all get off. Okay, cool.
I want to hear more, Joe. As we post throughout the week, Joe, promoting this show, please post your comments, man. I sincerely would love to hear what it is you have to say and what you're thinking about the show as it goes along. Because again, I owe it all to Double A. Thank you so much for telling me to watch it, man. And I watched it and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching clips of it again and again. That episode 6, man, where they finally face Celtics, and I think it's the regular season. Mm-hmm. It's so much fun. It's like, the
shit. Leprechaun.
Yeah,
where they're all freaked out about the Boston Garden.
You know, and I've already been seeing memes of where it's John C. Reilly just saying like "fuck Boston."
Yeah.
You know, so it's already out there, man. So
and Joe said he still hasn't watched Lasso.
Oh, you got to get on that, brother. You got to get on that. Get on that for luck. You know, he wants you to watch that. So, shit, Double A. I got nothing else except an empty cup. So
no, I got nothing else. Just watch. It's good. You'll like it. So
yeah, we wouldn't steer you wrong. At least we're not trying to, guys. Something we like to say at the end of every show that we'd like to remind you all of again is that today's the day to do something. Today's the day to make it happen. So do it. Make a run for it. Make a fast break for it. Seize the day. I can certainly tell you that Jerry Buss did that. Dr. Jerry Buss, when he acquired the Lakers, when he chose to draft Magic Johnson.
Watch me how to handle a motherfucker.
Yeah, and when Magic Johnson decided to
Magic motherfucking Johnson
exactly win an NBA championship in his first year, they definitely seized the day. They're the epitome of that. A rookie owner,
a rookie coach, and a rookie player. Yep,
that's pretty fucking hard to do. You know what I mean? Pretty much our first time out the gate, we're gonna go ahead and win it all. So they definitely seized the day. But another thing that Dr. Buss, embodied was what we also say from the words of the great Steve Rogers, Captain America, on their way to the time heist in Endgame, is to do whatever it takes. And by all means, he did. He did. Hiring Jack McKinney, an unknown second assistant coach.
Promoting Claire, getting Jeannie to maybe do some business around the area.
Yeah, creating the Forum Club. The Laker girls, adding sexiness to it. You know what I mean? The man definitely epitomized doing whatever it takes and seizing the day. So. Guys, for us here at Just Another Friday Night, we'd like to remind you to do both those things, seize the day and do whatever it takes. I am one of your 2 hosts, CM Chuck, and across from me is...
Double A, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, be smart, and no matter what, go Spurs, go. Good night.